for your participation in our contest.
This is a Steckline Communications station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM. Wichita proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by Augusta Flight Center, with the largest and most diverse fleet of rental aircraft in central Kansas. Learn more at iflyaugusta.com.
Good Thursday morning. An amended lawsuit by the wife of injured former WPD officer Brian Arterburn alleges Eddie Chevrolet Cadillac, owned by Rodney and Brandon Stephen, was negligent because they didn't report the Chevy Tahoe stolen which struck Arterburn until after he was hit, or that the Tahoe actually wasn't stolen at all. The court document filed this week on behalf of Arterburn's wife claims someone from the dealership loaned the SUV to Justin Terrazas, and data shows that calls were made from the SUV via Bluetooth to upper management at the dealership during the 7 weeks it was reportedly missing. KTV reports attorneys would not confirm whether the dealership had direct contact with Terrazas, who was sentenced this month to more than 28 years in prison for running over the officer and other crimes. Claudale Arterburn is asking for damages related to the former officer's injuries. And the design for Wichita's new ballpark was unveiled yesterday with approval expected by City Council on February 12th. I'm Rick Everett from the news desk. Now with sports, Doug Downs.
Preliminary plans were released yesterday for the new baseball stadium being built in downtown Wichita. The stadium will need to open by 2020. Some of the features of the stadium will include 3 entrances into the ballpark, 60 concession stands between mobile and fixed. Also, there will be 6,000 wider seats that will be positioned behind home plate and down the baselines, and luxury suites. There's a groundbreaking ceremony scheduled for February 13th. In Big 12 college basketball, last night the Oklahoma Sooners outlasted the Oklahoma State Cowboys in the second series of Bedlam, 70-61. From the sports desk, I'm Doug Downs.
Genuine starts at Schmidt & Sons. This is Leroy the Tractor Man from Schmidt & Sons. There's one easy way to keep your AGCO equipment productive all year. That's with genuine preventive maintenance parts from AGCO. Whether it's a combine, tractor, hay products, tillage, or planting equipment, by using genuine AGCO replacement parts, you get the promise of maximum performance and increased uptime. Did you know you can purchase the parts you need for the upcoming year and have no payments and no interest charge for 180 days with a minimum order of $1,000? With an AGCO Plus charge card, it's just that simple, and we can help you with the application. You can always use those preventive maintenance parts like oil, filters, DEF, batteries, ground engaging parts, just to name a few. This is a super program. Come to Schmidt & Sons in Winfield or Mount Hope and take advantage of the program, or find us on the web at schmittinc.com.
Just the turning of the charm with a tractor in each arm, down at Schmidt & Sons.
Joe and the guys at Carl's Goodyear, well, they are nice guys. That's the only way to describe them. Need new tires? Got you covered. Flat tire fixed? Done. Tune-up? Oil change? Brakes? Exhaust? Radiator? You get the idea. They do almost everything for your vehicle. They will also give you a ride when your car is in the shop. Nice guys who know auto repair, but above that, they know people and treat them like they would want to be treated. Carl's Goodyear, right on the corner of Market and Waterman, 264-5385.
A DUI can literally stop a person and their vehicle in its tracks. If you know someone who's gotten a nudge from the judge and their vehicle can't budge without an ignition interlock device, the next right move is Just Right Auto Repair. Just Right Auto Repair at 4312 West Central is Wichita's Intoxilock Ignition Interlock Installation Specialist. Intoxilock is the preferred device of choice among customers and monitoring authorities. Make your vehicle just right in the Quartz site. Just Right Auto Repair, your Intoxilock Ignition Interlock Installation Specialist.
Whether it's your home or your business, from roofing to foundation repair, Romani Construction of Wichita makes the process of construction or home and business improvement easy. Romani Construction involves you in the process from concept to completion. Better Business Bureau accredited, Romani Construction specializes in roofing, fire and water restoration, foundation repair, and concrete, and is locally owned and operated. From setting a start date when things actually get started to completing your project on time, call Romani Construction of Wichita, 252-7972.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center. President Trump has given in to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's declaration that there should be no State of the Union address until the partial government shutdown is over. Capitol Hill correspondent Linda Kenyon tells us Trump's change of heart came in a late-night tweet.
The president decided that he will deliver his State of the Union address after the partial government shutdown ends. Trump went on in a tweet, "I will do the address when the shutdown is over."
After a day with Wall Street wandering between losses and gains and finally closing slightly higher, business reporter Tom Busby tells us what investors will be watching today.
It's day 34, that partial government shutdown, but today the Senate will vote on a pair of bills that are aimed at funding the government again and getting those workers back on the job and getting paid.
Pre-market trading showing slight gains for stock futures across the boards this morning. 2 of 3 militia members accused of bombing a Minnesota mosque and attempting to bomb an Illinois women's clinic back in August 2017 are expected to enter guilty pleas today in a St. Paul, Minnesota federal court. I'm Michael Toscano.
Your local weather on KQAM. Brought to you by Hatman Jacks. Amazing headwear for women and men. At the Clock Tower in Delano, Hatman Jacks.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM. For this morning, cloudy but clearing, mostly sunny and 31, wind gust near 30 miles an hour, mostly clear and 17 tonight. Tomorrow, still gusty, mostly sunny and 43, partly cloudy and 25 for tomorrow night. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 6:06, it's currently 34 degrees.
Hey, join me for the Mike Gallagher Show right here on the Big Talker, KQAM, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM.
It's time for Reason.
We need to have options. Now, healthcare is not a right. Let me repeat that. Healthcare is not a right. But as a civilized society, as a first world country, we need to have options for healthcare so that way we can actually extend our lives, a better way of life, because that's how we progress as a society and as a human species, is that we progress that way. But healthcare is not a right.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is the pre-Friday celebration, rocking and rolling, baby, doing the thing, advancing conservatism each and every day. Welcome into the Voice of Reason on a Thursday, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. We are simulcasting on TV as well, KGPT TV. I'm watching the video feed right now, actually on YouTube, and I have the TV feed behind me as well, so I can kind of monitor, make sure things are running roll. I don't know if it's just my monitor. I don't know if it's the feed, but it looks like it's yellow. It looks like we're not actually getting a clear color here. It looks like they have like a yellow tinge to it. No, I'm not jaundiced right now. I promise you. I don't know. The color looks weird on there. I don't know if it's just my screen or if it's everywhere, but the TV behind me I think looks okay, but then my YouTube monitor that I have here looks a little strange. So I don't know. If it's a little yellow, then you know what? We're just adding effect to it. That's all we're just going to add effect to the video feed, so that way you can see it in a little bit different light. Ha-ha! There it is. Welcome in, 316-721-8255, 316-721. Talk. You like my little joke there? I thought that was kind of cute. Yeah, there you go. Lots to get to today. It's going to be a big show, a lot of fun. We have a lot of stuff to give away today. We have some more registrations to do. We have some fun stuff to talk about. Most of the show is going to be about the statewide issues, as there's a lot of things going on in Topeka. But we need to start off today. I'm sure you heard the news as of last night and the official statement coming out this morning. But Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, did write a letter to President Donald Trump, and she tried to do it in the nice little sarcastic way Donald Trump had done when he wrote the letter to cancel her flight. It doesn't come off that way because she does not have the sense of humor nor the capability of being as creative as President Donald Trump, but she tried. But she has officially uninvited Donald Trump to the White House for the State of the Union address next week. Dear Mr. President,
When I extended the invitation on January 3rd for you to deliver the State of the Union address, it was on the mutual agreed upon date, January 29th. At that time, there was no thought that the government would still be shut down. In my further correspondence of January 16th, I said we would work together to find a mutually agreeable date when the government has reopened, and I hope that we can still do that. I am writing to inform you that the House of Representatives will not consider a concurrent resolution authorizing the President's State of the Union address in the House chamber until the government has reopened. Again, I look forward to welcoming you into the House on a mutually agreeable date for this address when the government has been opened. Sincerely, Nancy Pelosi. Now, okay, there you go. She uninvited. Now, technically, President Trump can be invited to the Senate chambers and could speak there. Technically, President Trump could just do an address from the White House, and if it's not even called the State of the Union address, it could be labeled as the Donald Trump what's going on in the world today kind of message. But either way, he could do that. He has, however, officially announced, according to the Associated Press this morning, just an hour ago, that President Trump said he is postponing his State of the Union address until the partially government shutdown ends, yielding after a week-long showdown with Nancy Pelosi. Following the high-stakes game of the Dare and Double Dare, Trump conceded Wednesday night that, quote, no venue that can compete with history, tradition, and importance of the House chamber. He says he was not looking for an alternate option after Pelosi served notice earlier in the day that wouldn't allow him to deliver the speech. So, I know he's going to get heat for this, and the media's going to come out and say, well, he caved. He caved. He's not going to give the speech. He could have done it in the Senate chamber. He could have done it in the Oval Office. He could have done it from the beach of Puerto Rico while the Democrats are out there partying. Woohoo! And he could sit out there and actually do the State of the Union speech. But he's not going to. The tradition is that the House of Representatives invites him to the chamber to give a State of the Union speech and address the nation from that chamber. That is the history. That is the tradition, and if Nancy Pelosi wants to block him, I guess she has the right to do so. It's childish, and I mean childish as in that's really more childish than what Donald Trump had done, even canceling the plane, because I know I'm going to get that call. Andy, you're such a hypocrite. You laughed and thought it was great when Donald Trump canceled the flight. You think it's childish when she cancels the State of the Union. Yeah, I do. And I'll tell you exactly why. Number one, President Donald Trump has the absolute prerogative to dictate where military planes go. As Nancy Pelosi was taking a military plane, Donald Trump has absolute authority over those military planes, being the head of the executive branch, being the commander-in-chief. He has that right to do so. And it makes total sense to not do that when we're under a government shutdown and we're trying to save money, because right now, apparently, with 8% of the government unfunded, we're going to affect 25% of the entire government, which makes no sense to me. But that's what they're doing. Nancy Pelosi has the right to say, you know what, President Donald Trump, I don't want you to come and speak in the House of Representatives. She has the right to do that. However, as far as I'm aware, the reason it's childish is because, as far as I'm aware, the House of Representatives members are still getting paid, unlike many other federal employees, right? House chamber members. Now, some of them have openly said that they do not want to receive a paycheck, but not all of them have done so, and it has not been mandated or required for them to do so. Many of them are still receiving their paycheck, including, I believe, as long as I'm aware of, maybe it's changed, not quite sure, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who advocated for all of them to not receive a paycheck. I'm pretty sure that she's still receiving a paycheck. Why? Well, she's got to pay for that brand new apartment in Washington, D.C. that she didn't have the money to pay for the rent for before. So, we have House members that are still getting paid while federal government employees are not getting paid. And now they don't want to do their job by listening to the State of the Union speech. That's why this is childish. The House is still working. The House is still open. Why would you not deliver the State of the Union speech? So Donald Trump did not cave. He is following tradition. He was following honor. And he is following the process in order to make this a reasonable thing. This is something that he negotiated. And fine, you know what? I'm going to look better in the light. If I'm not going to give the speech yet, we reopen the government at some point, whenever that may be, however we may do this, however it pans out in the end, then I'll come and I'll speak and I'll talk about what happened. And if that's the case, fine. But you know what the media is going to do? They're going to come in today and, oh, Donald Trump caved. That's the headline on Drudge Report right now. Trump caves on State of the Union speech. Really? Don't think so. that's the latest news. The letter from Nancy Pelosi yesterday afternoon, and as of about an hour ago, according to the Associated Press, Donald Trump officially on Twitter says that he will move the State of the Union. So we will carry it here on KQAM whenever that may be, but it will not be as of right now Tuesday of next week unless they reopen the government later on this week. It sounds like they are voting on some type of bill in the Senate sometime today when it comes to the tax bill, or the funding bill. But what it sounds like is that it's more money for border security, but it does not include money for the wall. And the question is, will Donald Trump support that kind of bill? Which I don't think he will, which means the government will continue to be shut down. And I think it's come to the point. It's gone on long enough. The stupidity has been there long enough that Donald Trump say, you know what, Democrats are unwilling to compromise. And it's funny because Democrats still don't see it. And I've noticed over the last couple of days, maybe because I've been a little tired, maybe because I've been a little grumpy, maybe because of I don't know what, but I've come to the point where I'm getting very frustrated to the point where I don't even want to hear it anymore. I really don't want to hear it anymore. They still think that Donald Trump is the one unwilling to compromise. Still, after extending and offering an extension 3 years for DACA, after giving temporary visas, after giving the Democrats everything they want to, after Republicans trying to propose a bill to not even reopen the government just to fund, but just to give the paychecks to the workers that are being furloughed as of right now, to give them their paychecks while the government is still shut down, and Democrats voted against it. Democrats shut down a bill that was trying to be voted on in the House of Representatives to just fund and give paychecks to the furloughed workers so they can continue to work even though they're still being furloughed. That bill got shut down by Democrats, not Republicans. Then you see Nancy Pelosi going out to Puerto Rico to go and have a party. Then you see Nancy Pelosi trying to fly to the Middle East for some type of convention or some type of meeting or whatever, and not really giving a damn about what's going on with the government shutdown, saying that she's not going to go to the White House to negotiate, but Donald Trump better negotiate. And the Democrats somehow still think that Donald Trump is the one that's unwilling to negotiate and work together. I don't get it. I don't know how much more that we can look at. And according to the latest poll, they're really excited and hyped up about the fact that the poll is that Donald Trump's approval rating is going down and that the majority of Americans still blame him for the government shutdown. It's not true. I don't think it's true. Ask one Trump supporter if they're actually upset for him standing his ground on a campaign promise to build the wall and fund border security. Ask them if they're actually upset about that, and they're going to tell you no. They're going to say good for him. They're going to say keep at it. They're going to say don't you dare cower. Don't you dare back down. Don't you dare give in. That's what they're going to say. And by the way, the last time I remember, the majority of Americans voted for him to actually put him into office. Not by popular vote, but by a large percentage. By enough to win through the Electoral College, which means Trump supporters are still not going anywhere. So these polls, like usual, are faulty. They're false. They're lies. They're not true. And they're just trying to make Donald Trump look a little bit worse. But it's not going to work. It's not going to work. He will lose if he caves on the wall. And that's why he's not going to cave on the wall. 316-721-8255. That's the latest. No State of the Union speech as of right now. We'll see how long this goes on and what's going to be the latest when we might actually hear a speech from him at some point. But I'm curious to see when this is actually going to take place. We got a lot to get to today. I want to talk about the latest bills going on in Topeka. There's actually a new committee being started. Susan Wagle makes the announcement from the Kansas Senate of a new tax committee looking of how we can return the Trump tax windfall back to the Kansas people, and that's already causing issue both with how she ended up creating the committee and how the committee is going to actually work and what's going to happen. So we'll talk about that today. We have some new bills being presented in the legislature as well. We'll talk about there's some really good stuff, some really silly stuff that we'll get to today. We have also, how are we going to work together if there's a way to work together? There's a story nationally saying that moderate Democrats may be the leading voice in the conversation, especially during the government shutdown, some being very upset about Nancy Pelosi having such a hardline stance on the shutdown. Now, the media's not talking about that. They're actually saying it's a unified voice, but now their story is beginning to leak out. Even with the Wichita Eagle shutdown healthcare budget, how moderate House Democrats may influence the party and how they may stand up. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she may not be that light and shining armor and that beacon of hope that the Democrats were hoping for. And even though I just see a poll as well that the majority of Democrats would vote for her for president if she tried to run, she's not of age to do so yet, but she still may try to do so. And the majority of Democrats said that they would actually try and vote for her. So we have conflicting reports right now where the Democrats are going to go. Are they going to go hardline AOC, or are they going to go more moderate and saying you guys are nuts and we need to bring common sense back into the party? I don't know. I really don't know. Plus, we got some other news with the Senate race here in Kansas and more. It's going to be a heck of a show. We have Frances Rosenbluth. He's joining the program at 8 o'clock today, talking about the parties and where they may go, what direction they may take, which will fit in perfectly with a lot of the conversation we have going on today. It's a pre-Friday celebration. Hey, welcome into it on the Voice of Reason on a Thursday morning. We want to get your calls as well, 316-721-8255. What's on your mind? We have to get you registered today for the big game party. Almost said it, didn't say it. The big game party we have going on with BNC Barbecue. We have some tickets for the Sunflower Showdown that's going to go on. It's going to be kind of a fun day today. Welcome into it. Thursday, Voice of Reason. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Ag News from Mid-America Ag Network. I'm Craig Mead. Well, Farm Service Agency offices are reopening today in spite of the government shutdown. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue says the USDA has recalled more than 9,700 FSA employees to reopen FSA offices nationwide beginning today.
We've persuaded OMB through them working with us and our attorneys and our budget people working with them over finding the funds to get all of our people back to allow them to take care of our customers' business, and it'll be more inclusive than it was on the temporary 3-day issue as well.
By more inclusive, Secretary Perdue means that the programs allowed will be expanded, and this time around will include the market facilitation program as one of those that will be available with the newly reopened FSA offices.
So they'll be able to do some more things, including finishing up the market facilitation program, and even originating some new operating loans for them, creating some of the WHIP payments and doing some other things that getting crops out of loans, getting new loans on other crops, cotton, peanuts, sugar, those kind of things. So even the dairy margin protection programs.
Now, the USDA will keep the FSA offices open from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. weekdays beginning today, but that schedule will begin to taper as we go through time.
They will be coming back this Thursday, so they'll be back Thursday and Friday, and then for a 10 working day period. That means all 5 days next week and all 5 days the week following, they will be in the office to take care of all the backlog businesses, and then they'll be open 3 days a week in the weeks following.
Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue, FSA offices open once again beginning today. Ag News, Mid-America Ag Network. 2018 was a tough year for agriculture. What will 2019 bring? Will there be an end to the trade war with China? How about another record corn or soybean crop? How can livestock producers expand export markets? Mid-America Ag Network takes a look at all this and more. Join me, Craig Mead, for Ag Outlook 2019, brought to you by the Kansas Wheat Commission and the Kansas Corn Growers Association. Ag Outlook 2019, right here.
Join us Saturday at 7 a.m. right here on KQAM, brought to you by PNB Insurance and the Comark Energy Co-op.
Hey, Mark Walters with Armed American Radio, and I want to tell you about Rob's Gun Tech and Firearms. They're the dealer to buy, sell, trade, and even consign. Budget to high-end custom firearms, ammo, accessories. They've got it all and feature Wilson Combat, Guncrafters Industries, and Nighthawk Custom. Have a request? Work with their in-house gunsmith, find the right solution for you. Rob's Gun Tech offers pricing programs and discounts and proudly gives back to the Veterans Suicide Network. Learn more today at robsguntechandfirearms.com or visit them just east of 159th North on East Kellogg, where they know more than just the price.
If you're active military, a veteran, or part of our law enforcement community, bring in your active or inactive military ID or an active law enforcement ID to any Riverside Cafe location. Buy 2 meals and a drink and get the second meal of equal or lesser value for free. Again, for any military vets or law enforcement, buy 1 meal and 2 drinks and get the second meal at no charge. Riverside Cafe.
Riverside Cafe, with all 3 locations serving all-day breakfast. In Wichita at 9125 West Central, 13th and Bidding, and in Derby at 824 North Baltimore.
Don't miss more ways to save on a new Bobcat compact track loader at White Star Machinery. Choose a cash rebate up to $10,000 or take advantage of 0% financing for 60 months with no payments for 90 days with approved credit. Put Built Tough priced right Bobcat equipment to work and get peace of mind with our 2-year, 2,000-hour full warranty. Why wait? Start saving today. Check it out on our website, whitestarmachinery.com.
White Star, get the job done.
Mike here at Rusty Eck Ford with some exciting news. Our year-end offer is now extended till January 31st. That means you can still come pick out a new Ford and make no payments till 2020. That's right, drive it for all of 2019 and make no payments until 2020. Check out our nice selection at rustyeckford.com or come in person and take a look. When you decide, we'll set it up with no payments till 2020. Hey, it's a new year and you can have a happy new car. New cars, trucks, or SUVs with no payments till 2020 through January 31st. This offer is only available at Rusty Eck Ford in Wichita Town East and Kellogg. We're Rusty Eck Ford proud. Dealer retains rebates, Ford credit, interest accrues from date of sale. All negative equity paid in full. Max payment assistance up to $500. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Come visit us at Rusty Eck Ford or go to rustyeckford.com.
This is Alex Jones, and you're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Hey, 26 minutes past the hour. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Thursday, the pre-Friday celebration. Welcome in. Great to have you along for the ride. Good morning to you as you starting off your day. Yeah, it's kind of a fun one, isn't it? You see the light at the end of the tunnel. Let's help you get there. Get there the rest of the way. Moving forward, doing the thing. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome in. 316-721-8255. 316-721-TALK. This half hour of the broadcast brought to you by Lamar's Donuts and Coffee Shop. Be a rock star today on your way to work. Pick up a dozen donuts from Lamar's. Great way to start each and every morning. Yeah, surprise your coworkers, your employees, your employers, your friends, whoever. Just 3 locations in town, south of Rock and K96. One at Tyler and Mays, the other on Harry on the east side of Hillside. Try them. You'll definitely like them. It's Lamar's Donuts and Coffee Shop, online at lamars.com. Again, lamars.com. I saw this story yesterday, and I didn't want to talk about it because I thought it was stupid, and I kind of glanced over as, whatever. Who cares? And then everybody in the media yesterday in the state of Kansas starts talking about it as if it's a really big deal. We got to let you know. Former Secretary of State Kris Kobach used taxpayer funds to do his classes that were required by the judge. I know. Whoa. That is just way too much to take in right there, that he used taxpayer funds to go and get the class that he needed to take that was mandated by the judge, telling him that he had to do this class. He took it, and it was paid for by the taxpayers. Oh, gosh. Now, again, I saw the story when it came out, and I glanced over. I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't care. Number one, the media reported it just to try and put another bad light onto Kris Kobach, because now they're paranoid, which we'll talk about a little bit later. They're paranoid of him running for the Senate seat and him resurfacing as the new voice again of the conservatives and the Republicans, and how dare he even try and run again after he got beat pretty bad, according to them. 9 counties in the state that went towards Laura Kelly. He won all the other ones. But, he won pretty badly, according to them. And they're afraid of him running for another statewide seat with the U.S. Senate. So they have to continue to put the digs into him. Continue to put the digs in there. And this one, of course, was the dig that they had to bring up of, oh, look at that. He used taxpayer money to fund his class. Now, I don't care. It's not that much for one. And if you're really concerned about the little bit of money he did spend, then you really need to pay attention to the rest of the money in the budget and see where we're at budgetary-wise for the state in the first place. Try and talk about being fiscally responsible. Yeah. Number 2, he did it because it was a work requirement. A work requirement. Now, there's something in radio, if you've ever been in radio or ever been in the sales of radio, there's something called the radio marketing consultant certification. So that way you can be radio marketing consultants. I forget what it's called, the RMC or something. It's the radio marketing consultant certification. So you can be a true marketing consultant. You can understand all different platforms of radio, of media, of radio, TV, newspaper, whatever, the differences between them, the benefits for different clients and advertisers on what each one can do for you. And guess what? I have one because I've done sales in radio, and the company paid for it because it was a work requirement. And they invested that in me. If you need it for your job, then the job usually compensates you or pays for that type of training. So if the judge told him to go do a class, it was because it was for a work requirement, because he was in the court cases for the Secretary of State, which means the job, his boss, the government, would pay for that. It's common sense. But no, let's go ahead and throw some dirt on him some more and make some more people angry at him just because we can, right?
Now back to the KQAM News Desk.
There will be no State of the Union speech originally scheduled for next Tuesday until the partial government shutdown is over. That is what House Speaker Nancy Pelosi wanted, and Bob Costantini reports President Trump will no longer fight it.
Shortly before midnight in Washington, the president tweeting, "I will do the address when the shutdown is over." Alternative sites may have been considered, yet in the end, Mr. Trump decided there is no venue that can compete with the history, tradition, and importance of the House chamber.
There's always a chance one of two competing bills before the Senate today to reopen the government could pass, but as one is expected to be supported by Democrats and the other by Republicans, there seems little chance either will make the 60-vote threshold. A woman identifying herself as the ex-girlfriend of the suspect in yesterday's mass shooting that killed 5 people at a Sebring, Florida bank says he often thought about hurting people and has long been fascinated with death and guns. Alex Zerlach tells WSBT in South Bend, Indiana, and the Washington Post she tried to warn people about Zeph and Zaver. I'm Michael Toscano.
Looking for ways to save with your Medicare plan? Walgreens is a preferred network pharmacy with many plans nationwide, which could mean lower copays for you. So bring your prescriptions to a Walgreens pharmacy today to start saving. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Walgreens participates as a preferred network pharmacy with United Healthcare, Cigna HealthSpring, and Express Scripts Medicare. For a complete list of available plans, please contact 1-800-MEDICARE. TTY users should call 1-877-486-2048. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or consult www.medicare.gov. Other pharmacies are available in our network.
What's in store for your business this week at Staples?
Your promotion to CIO, Chief Ink Officer.
Because right now at Staples, you get 25% back in rewards when you spend $75 on ink or $200 on toner.
With savings that big, you'll be the Director of Deals, the President of Printing.
Get 25% back in rewards on ink or toner, now at Staples.
Where there's a whole lot in store.
Ends 1/26/19. Restrictions apply. See store or staples.com/25back for details.
Kansas Mid-America Network News. Good Thursday. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is deflecting speculation that he might run for Senate in Kansas, saying he has a very full plate in his current job. Pompeo was asked last night in a Fox News television interview about whether he might run next year for the seat held by retiring Republican Senator Pat Roberts. Pompeo stopped short of ruling it out, but said his singular focus is his work as the nation's top diplomat under President Donald Trump. A suspect in the ambush, kidnapping, and rape of a Johnson County Sheriff's deputy wants to withdraw his guilty plea. The Kansas City Star reports 23-year-old Brady Newman Cadell of Independence, Missouri, was scheduled to be sentenced yesterday after pleading guilty in May to the attack. Instead, he asked to withdraw his plea and go to trial. Following that request, Newman Cadell's attorney withdrew from the case. Mid-America Network News.
Broadcasting from the Rusty Eck Ford Studios.
No payments till 2020, only at Rusty Eck Ford.
Family owned, customer friendly. This is the Big Talker, KQAM.
Hi, this is Phil Martinez at Phil's Coins. At the shop, we talk all the time about honesty and integrity. And in our shop, we've decided that honesty means nothing without integrity. So what I would tell you is that if you didn't bring your coins to Phil's Coins, honestly, you didn't get enough money for what you have. Come see us at Phil's Coins, 9344 West Central, or online at philscoins.com.
Mark Collier at Collier Allstate knows mayhem can happen at any time in Kansas.
Whether you live in the city, one of Kansas's great small towns, or out in the Great Plains, Mark and Allstate will protect you from the effects of mayhem. Home, health, life, or business, Mark and his great staff will help you find the best protection. Mayhem is guaranteed to come. Let the Mark Collier Agency help you through it. Mark Collier, the Collier Agency, 204 North Main in Goddard. Give them a call at 316-413-4014 and on Facebook at Collier Allstate.
Wichita's Big Talker is KQAM. Catch Andy Hoosier morning 6 to 9. Mike Gallagher 9 to noon. The Dana Show live noon till 2. Dave Ramsey 2 to 5. And Joe Pags 5 to 8. Wichita's Big Talker is KQAM.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM for this morning. Cloudy but clearing, mostly sunny and 31, wind gust near 30 miles an hour, mostly clear and 17 tonight. Tomorrow, still gusty, mostly sunny and 43, partly cloudy and 25 for tomorrow night. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 6:35, it's currently 32 degrees.
Call the Voice of Reason now on the ABC Recycling phone lines at 721-8255. This is the Big Talker, KQAM. Waking up the right way.
I look forward to listening to you every morning when I get ready for work.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yeah, welcome into the Voice of Reason. Great to have you along for the ride today. It is a Thursday, the pre-Friday celebration, and we are killing it on YouTube today. Thank you. I've actually been tracking a lot of the numbers of views that we've seen, both either live and after the show. It's kind of a podcast deal, and we're growing. We're growing. I remember when we first started the YouTube, I mean, we were getting in single-digit kind of hits thing. Now we actually hit over 100 views on one of the shows last week. We're growing decently, and we're getting higher and higher numbers. That's what we do, slow growth, but hey, we're getting there, and we appreciate that very much. Thank you for tuning in. Go to youtube.com, find KQAM Radio, watch us live. That's where the podcast is. So we don't have another podcast right now. If you want to watch any of the show or listen to the show, go to YouTube. When you watch any other videos, just type in, search KQAM Radio. You can find our page, you can subscribe to it, and then you can see all the shows that we have on there. I have not, nor do I know how to clean it up and delete prior shows. So, until I figure that out, you're going to be able to see all the shows that we've done since we started putting it on YouTube. We also, by the way, have some really cool stuff we're going to start working on. Actually, this week I'm going to start working on, as now we have a lot of the video opportunity with us with the YouTube live feed we have going. We're working on upgrading the cameras in here in the studio. We have some more broadcasts that we're going to be doing on TV as well. We're also going to be working on some stuff on our website, kqamradio.com, and there's going to be some more video production stuff that you're going to be able to see on the YouTube page. So you definitely want to subscribe, not only to watch my show, but to watch some other stuff for the station as a whole that we're going to be doing behind the scenes, that we're going to be posting YouTube videos on, and then sharing them as well on our website as well at kqamradio.com. So stay tuned in. Some really cool stuff going. Now that we're working so close with KGPT TV, we are going to be doing some really neat video and radio things together, which, you know what, local markets don't usually do this. I'm just saying local markets don't usually do any of this stuff because it's not very... it's never been really tried before. National stuff's doing it. You can see Joe Pags, where he does the radio, and then he's also on to the TV side as well. We see InfoWars doing radio and TV at the same time with Alex Jones. So the national stuff, even on sports side, Colin Cowherd, Dan Patrick on Fox Sports Radio over on KGSO, they do the radio and the TV side. They simulcast it together, and that's the way a lot of the national media is going, but local media has not quite done that yet. And we're trying it. We're really breaking ground at the local level doing this stuff. So I'm really excited. I'm really honored to be part of that. And we got a lot of really cool stuff coming up. So stay tuned in and definitely go and subscribe to the KQAM radio page on YouTube. Right now we have almost 100 subscribers on there. Maybe what we should do, if we can get 5 new subscribers today on the YouTube page, maybe we should give something away. I have to think on that, or maybe we'll do that here in the next couple of days. Go to youtube.com, just type in KQAM Radio, find our page, subscribe to it, and let's see if we can't get to 100 subscribers by the end of this week, today and tomorrow. Let's do that. That'd be really cool. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. We have, so right now, we're at a crossroads with the Democrats. We have the crazy lunacy nuts on the left, like AOC and the others, where they make really absurd comments. The world's going to end in 12 years with climate change, and climate change is our World War II, and there should be no society ever, and there should be no acceptance of anybody that's a billionaire. How dare you have a lot of money? How dare you be successful? How dare you actually create a product that people enjoy and that you actually get benefit from that because you created a project or a process or a product in society that people actually enjoy? How dare you do that? You're not allowed to be a billionaire, and we should never have a society that allows anyone to be a billionaire or a multimillionaire. How dare you're not allowed to do that? That's just unfair for everybody else. So we should tax you on that. We should punish you on that. That is where the Democrat Party has gone. They've gone to the absolute extreme. There are very few, and I will say this till I'm blue in the face, there are very few blue dog Democrats anymore of conservative fiscal responsibility within the Democrat Party. And if there are, it's time for you to speak out. It's time for you to make your voice heard because you're not being heard as of right now. The media focuses on AOC and the division between her and Nancy Pelosi and how maybe they can start working together, but they're not really working together. They're focusing on Tlaib, I think her name was, or Tlaib, or whatever her name was, the Muslim gal that's really friends with AOC that has made derogatory comments towards President Trump. They focus on the ones that are the loudmouths because it's good media, because that's good ratings for them, and that's the red meat TV, the red meat that the Democrats and the progressives love to see on the media, so that's what they cover. Same with, the conservatives on the right side, the red meat radio. I can throw out a topic that's very easy to get you all riled up and fired up about. Is that good radio? Yeah, it's entertaining radio. At the same time, though, I like to go a little bit deeper because we have to go a little bit deeper in order to understand the issues. So, there's a happy balance there. The left-wing media, though, they don't do that. They just throw out the red meat for them and they're like, hey, socialism, baby. Taking it to the extreme, sticking it to the guy with the red MAGA hat on because they're racist, and the sign of the red hat is now the new sign of the KKK, and the same thing as wearing a hood. That's just common sense. You should know something like that. So we have the Democrats moving farther to the left. Then we see something like this hat tip to the Wichita Eagle. Progressive Democrats have grabbed the media spotlight, but the Blue Dog Coalition, a group of 24 centrist House Democrats, are poised to be important players at the drama to the end of the partial government shutdown. As it unfolds, the White House recognizes the group's potential clout when it invited individual members to meet with President Donald Trump last week to discuss the shutdown. Now, I have not heard this in the media because they told us directly after, when I first saw the story on Drudge and on a few other news outlets, of saying, hey, look, there's some moderate Democrats, when Donald Trump released his plan, when he made that statement last weekend, offering the extension, the olive branch, offering to extend DACA, offering to compromise on some issues to fund the wall and reopen the government. The very first word I heard was, oh, yeah, there's some moderate Democrats upset with Nancy Pelosi for not even considering the bill, and they want to talk to President Trump to try and hash out a negotiation. I heard it briefly, like for a couple hours in the media, and then, boom, it was gone. And the next headline you heard was Nancy Pelosi does not want to negotiate, does not want to listen to it. It's not even a starter conversation point, and the majority of Democrats support her. And the Democrats are getting behind her, and there's a unified voice from the Democrats that don't even want to listen to Donald Trump. That's what we heard from the media. But now there is the Blue Dog Coalition, a group of 24 centrist House Democrats, and possibly growing, that want to discuss it, that want to negotiate, and that want to sit down at the table with Donald Trump. President Trump is willing to work with anyone, Democrat or Republican, on solutions to critical issues facing the country, including the humanitarian and national security crisis at our southern border, according to Judd Deere, the White House spokesperson. But the Blue Dogs did invite, as soon as we open up the government, I'd be happy to come over. I'll buy you lunch, but please, let's first open up the government. They want to take the approach of let's open up the government, then let's debate this. I don't think that's the right move, as we talked about yesterday. I think that's the way that our leverage right now, it's not holding hostage, but it is saying, for both sides, by the way, Democrats and Republicans, that if we open up the government, you know what they're going to do. They're going to kick the can down the road. They're going to say, let's visit this a little bit later. Let's do some research and thinking, and then a year later, we'll forget all about it, and nothing will ever have changed. Because that's the way they work. They see it as an opportunity to delay Donald Trump, his success of actually doing something before a presidential run in 2020 in a re-election. in an election cycle, and they really don't want to open up the government, and they always like to kick the can down the road and say that they're going to do a 20-year plan. That's their process. So no, let's address it now while we're in the government shutdown. Yes, let's reopen the government and get people their paychecks, but let's do that while we negotiate this, and let's do it hand in hand. That's the way I stand, and that's the way I'm going to continue to stay. But now I think there's a moderate Democrat movement where, even though the polls are showing that people are predominantly blaming Trump, which I do not believe, but that's what the polls are saying, so whatever. Let's roll with it for just a second. If they still blame Donald Trump, they have to some degree, be blaming the crazy extreme progressive Democrats as well. Because Nancy Pelosi, unwilling to even walk into the White House or sit down in a meeting with Donald Trump, cannot look nicely for either the progressive Democrats that want the government to reopen or the federal workers that want to get a paycheck. They have to say, and we've heard this from numerous people, it's wrong on both ends. Both of them are acting childish. It's on both sides of the aisle. Not really, but, okay, whatever. If that's the mentality, at least you're putting some blame onto the Democrats, so I'll take it. The moderate Democrats, the moderate commonsensical approach, or what they see as commonsensical approach, is going to prevail from this. And I think, in the long run, we're going to see the moderate Democrats potentially, if they're going to survive as a party, rise up and be the new face of the Democrat Party. And there are some that are trying to be there. It's difficult. It's very hidden. It's very in the shadows as of right now. But if they try and emerge as the moderate face of the Democrats, they could see themselves in leadership positions. They could see themselves in negotiation talks. They could see themselves running for different elected seats. And I think that they actually have a chance to do so. And I hope they do. Honestly, I hope they do. Not that I hope that the Democrats end up doing something beneficial for us, because I don't see that happening, but I do hope that they have some common sense come into their party, they have some moderacy come into their party, so we can have an easier time sitting down and having a somewhat substantial conversation, instead of the ones that are saying, like Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump is a racist. AOC coming out and saying we will die in 12 years if we don't address climate change like we did with World War II, and this is our World War II for our generation. That is stupid. That is a ridiculous talking point. It is time for the moderate Democrats to come out and say, okay, that's extreme. That's lunacy. Don't listen to that. Let's actually have a commonsensical conversation here, shall we? And we need to do that. And if we do, then I think we're going to be better off as a nation. I don't know. I'm torn right now between thinking, there's no way we can come back from the division we have. We're going to continue to go polarized and go farther and farther to each end, and we're not going to actually see a middle ground. I've tried, as you know, over the last couple of weeks, having on a few different guests that have been on the other side of the aisle. We had an illegal alien in studio yesterday with us as her visa had expired. We chatted with her. We have James Thompson that came in last week or a couple weeks ago, and he'll be in again on Friday to chat, to talk about the other side, to see if we can find a common ground. I'm trying to extend that olive branch to see if there's a mender, if there's any way that two sides can come together to at least find common ground. Not that we're going to agree on anything, but that we can find some common ground and move forward together in some degree, or whether it's too far gone and we're not going to see anything come back. I don't know. I'm the eternal optimist, as you know. I like to see on the bright side of things. I like to look at the positive sides, but I don't know. I'm getting to the point to where I don't know if I can see us coming back to see some kind of common ground. When we can't even agree that at the end of the day we want to wave the American flag and be patriotic and love this country because too many people are offended by the American flag, when we see the American flag being used as some kind of political standpoint of, you had the flag, you must be a right-wing nutso. When you can't stand for the national anthem, when you can't actually say the Pledge of Allegiance, when you're offended by that type of talk, I think we're almost too far gone because we can't even find common ground thinking that America is the greatest place on the face of the earth. I have a problem with that, and I don't want to see that. But maybe, just maybe, the moderate Democrats will rise. The moderate Democrats will come out of the ashes of the heaping ash pile or dung pile or whatever you want to call it that is the Democrats right now on the progressive end of the aisle, and they will come out and actually have a fresh voice. Dalton Glasscock, as you know, chair for the Sedgwick County Republican Party, was on KMUW, the NPR station here, and did an interview and talked about how we can look for bipartisan solutions at the State House, at the statewide level. And I agree. If the problem is, though, again, Is there a way to compromise and find common ground? Because I'm willing to negotiate and compromise on legislation. I'm not willing to compromise on the values or the platform of the party and what I stand for. I'm not willing to compromise on that. And when we have something like New York right now, which apparently, look, I tell you what, if you want the social experiment, if you want progressive experiments, go to New York right now. You can get your abortion up to the day before you want to deliver, and you can get it for free because now they have free health care. So you know what? It's the social utopia that you've been waiting for, the socialist mindset that everybody loves. Go there, see how well it works out for you, and then you can come back and tell us and give us a report. And I tell you what, they're going to be devastated within the next couple of years because that's the way they roll. So you can go there and you can get your abortion and you can have the state pay for it because, whatever, that's cool. Because that makes total sense. That I will never support. That I will never agree with. That I will never be able to negotiate or compromise with. I can't do that. So can we look for bipartisan solutions? I hope so. That's if the Democrats have a reasonable approach. If they don't come out and say, we like socialism, we want expansion of Medicaid, we want higher taxes, we want more spending on government programs, I will not support any of that. I can't do it. I don't care whether we're talking about the state level or the federal level. So if they come back and they're willing to negotiate and compromise on some of that, let's have a bipartisan solution. Let's work together. I'm not against working with the other side. I am against working with someone who has a complete polar opposite ideology than me and doesn't want to compromise because they think I'm a radical right-wing nut job. I won't do that. Can we find common ground? I hope so. And I think we only can if we have moderate Democrats rise up out of this and say, you know what? All right, let's have a conversation. No, you're not racist, Republicans and conservatives. No, you're not radicals, Republicans and conservatives, because we're not. Conservatism of saying we want people to keep their money, to have the rights that they God gave them, to have the liberties that the Constitution protects with our guns, with our life, with our religion, with our private property. If we're allowed to keep that stuff and you're willing to understand that and accept that, then you know what? We can compromise. We can talk. We can chat. Because I won't give up. I won't compromise those type of values. And if we can come to that understanding, then all the power to you. Let's have a conversation. 316-721-8255. Let's go to the phones here, shall we? The ABC Recycling Hotlines. Line number 1. Good morning. What's your name?
Hey, that's Gary.
Gary, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Andy.
Good.
Hey, we are in a spiritual war. It's a civil war, only, all over again. You've got, two sides. They're almost even, and like you just said, it's the complete 180-degree polarized ideology.
Right. And that's why it's hard to work with them.
Well, and so I think it helps to ask, well, where does that ideology come from? And, you mentioned God-given rights. Well, where does that idea come from? That comes from the Bible. And it has much influence on our thinking and action. And the other side, where does that come from? That comes from evolution, that man is nothing, that there is no God. So that comes from your mostly from your higher education system.
Sure.
And so until you can attack the cancer, until you can identify the cancer, what's killing the patient, well,
that's a good point. And here's the thing. I don't like to use the religious argument because you're right. I mean, on the other side, if they're not religious, if, they don't see that as fact, then it doesn't go anywhere and the dialogue ends right there. What's nice about it is I like to use the conservative philosophy, the conservative ideology. I like to use the constitutional argument because luckily and coincidentally, is that when we make that argument, that coincides with the religious beliefs that we have as well. And so you're right. I mean, even if we talk about it, whether it's a God-given right for life, liberty, and private property, whether it's God gave it to us, whether it's the natural law that we get to keep what we create, that we get to have the right to defend ourselves in life, whether it's because God told us to or whether it's because the caveman thought, oh, hey, I get to defend myself from the crazy lion that's coming to attack me sort of thing. No matter how you look at it, it comes to the same end conclusion, doesn't it? I mean, when you look at it from the political standpoint, when you look at the private property or your right to life, whether it's because you believe God gave you that right or whether it's because it's just evolution because you got to fend off that crazy lion attacking you, either way you come to that same conclusion of I have the right to keep my life. And I like to use that argument because I know that you're right. It does coincide with the religious beliefs that many people have. But even if they don't take it as a religious argument, then they get to come to the same conclusion of, oh, yeah, you get the right to be able to keep your life and defend it no matter what, whether it's the lion coming at you, whether it's a burglar breaking into your house, you have the right to protect yourself no matter any kinds of means, which then coincides with the right to the Second Amendment and to be able to keep and bear arms. Either way, we come to that same conclusion. I would like people to use that religious argument, but a lot of times it just doesn't work in a discussion.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disagree with your philosophy on that, Andy. Because coming from man, just like the gal that's talking about the billionaires, you know.
Sure.
She says, well, what right do they have to be billionaires when there's people, when there's poor people in the world? And it's an idiotic conversation.
And they're too far gone. And that's the thing.
Just real quick.
Yeah, you got about 30 seconds. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. The MAGA hat kid.
Yes.
When he was being interviewed, the lady asked, well, don't you feel like you have something to apologize for? I'm sorry, the kid has nothing to apologize for, but that is the mindset that comes from the humanistic side.
Sure.
That comes up from the colleges.
Well, yeah, how dare you wear a hat? You know, you wear a hat, and therefore that hat resembles the new KKK hood, and you should apologize because you sat there and you smiled at a Native American very nervously because you didn't know what to do or how to respond, and you wore a hat, and therefore you're offensive. Don't you have anything to apologize for? I love it. Gary, I appreciate it, my friend, and I do agree with you very much so on your stance here. Got to take a break. I got some other calls on the line. Wrapping up hour number one. Lots more to get to here on The Voice of Reason. Can we work together? Is there a moderate Democrat coming out of the woodworks in order to have some type of commonsensical dialogue in today's society? I don't know. Time will tell. This is The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
You're listening to The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Market information, Mid-America Ag Network. We saw mixed numbers in the futures markets as we wrapped up our midweek Wednesday. Corn had some issues deciding what it wanted to do over the course of the day and traded two sides of unchanged all day long and finished in a very narrow range, still on both sides of unchanged. March corn down a quarter cent at 3.78 3/4. July up a quarter cent at 3.95 1/4. March Kansas City wheat up 5 1/4 at 5.15. May up 5 1/2 at 5.24 1/4. Soybeans did well. March beans up 5 3/4 at 9.15. May beans up 6 at 9.28 3/4. March soybean meal down a dime at 3.12.90. May down a dime at 3.16.60. March soy oil 32 points higher, 29.38. May was up 34 points at 29.68. So all in all, not a bad day in the soy complex. Had some issues with meal, but most everything else was up. Kansas City wheat finished with kind of a rally. As far as the livestock is concerned, February live cattle up 42 at 125.55. April live cattle up 42 at 126.50. Each of the later months was in the green. January feeder cattle up 197 at 143.02. March feeders up 215 at 143.65. So some big positives for feeder cattle. Each of the later months was up by more than $1. So a pretty strong day all in all for cattle. Hogs, not so much. February hogs down 70 at 60.77. April hogs down 125 at 64.85. So it did turn out to be kind of a tough day for hogs while cattle rallied. March cotton 39 points higher at 73.52. May cotton up 32 points at 74.85. So it was nice to see some positives for cotton. And late in the afternoon, crude oil was still struggling. March crude down 31 cents at 52.70. April down 32 at 52.98. And we were having issues with gold. February down 80 cents at 12.8260. Market information, Mid-America Ag Network.
And now this message about fully customized vehicle wraps and graphics from Shire Graphics of Park City.
Park City's Shire Graphics has the highest quality of big truck and fleet graphics, from passenger vehicles to the big rigs and everything in between. No matter the size of your fleet, Shire Graphics of Park City is the area's leader in digitally printed vehicle wraps. Superior quality digital vehicle graphics from Shire Graphics, where their niche is your need in vehicle graphics, from single vehicle to fleet. Shire Graphics at shiregraphics.com.
Have you ever stopped to think about just how many songs have been written about time? Multiply it by hundreds. And that's the number of timepieces at Scott Child's Old Time Clock Shop.
Could save time in a bottle.
Scott Child's Old Time Clock Shop. 1946 West 13th Street North in the heart of Riverside.
The time of my life.
Like us on Facebook today at KQAM. This is The Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM.
All right, we went way long in that last segment. That's all right. Appreciate the phone calls. Got some others sitting there waiting on the line. Hang out. We'll get to you as soon as we come back in hour number 2. Great conversation. The big question is, are we going to see moderacy coming out of the Democrats? And I mean the Democrats, not the conservatives right now, because I don't know how you can be a moderate conservative and say, well, I support lower taxes, but, we need more money for government programs. It doesn't make any sense, but maybe we can find common ground. I do want to talk about that later on in the show. We'll shift gears a little bit when we come back in hour number 2. We have some state legislation going on. We have a new committee going on in our state Senate. Can we get some tax windfall back to the people of Kansas? That's the big question. We'll do that when we come back. Hour number 2 of The Voice of Reason right after this. Stay here.
This is a Steckline communication station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita Proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by Continental Truck Accessories, 6701 South Broadway. Show your truck some love with Continental Truck Accessories.
Good Thursday morning. First responders were out in the overnight hours after a building caught fire early this morning near the intersection of St. Francis and Indianapolis streets. KWCH-TV reports fire crews were called out around 1:45 this morning and arrived to find the building was fully engulfed in flames. Firefighters battled the blaze from the outside of the building due to concern the structure may collapse. No injuries were reported. The fire is under investigation. An amended lawsuit by the wife of injured former Wichita police officer Brian Arterburn alleges Eddie's Chevrolet Cadillac, owned by Rodney and Brandon Stephen, was negligent because they didn't report the Chevy Tahoe stolen until after Arterburn was hit by the vehicle, or that the Tahoe actually wasn't stolen at all. The court document filed this week on behalf of Arterburn's wife claims someone from the dealership loaned the SUV to Justin Terrasas, and data shows that calls were made from the SUV via Bluetooth to upper management at the dealership during the 7 weeks it was reportedly missing. Cake TV reports attorneys would not confirm whether the dealership had direct contact with Terrasas, who was sentenced to more than 28 years in prison for running over Arterburn and other crimes. Claudale Arterburn asking for damages related to the former officer's injuries. Making your way around the country from the air capital could become a lot easier. KWCH-TV reports iFly Wichita is looking to bring more direct flights to Eisenhower Airport. It's an effort to bring more people to the airport instead of driving elsewhere to fly to their destinations. The airport says there's a demand for more nonstop flights while keeping prices affordable. The airport says it's looking to expand flights to the east and west coast, where flights to and from Eisenhower are most underserved. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has recalled more than 9,000 employees, and Sedgwick County's FSA office will be open and staffed as of this morning. I'm Rick Everett. Now sports.
The Wichita State Shockers returned home from South Florida after a tough game against the University of Southern Florida. The Shockers now will have to prepare in a couple of days to go back on the road. They will take on UConn Saturday at 5 o'clock. It is the Big 12 SEC Challenge coming up this weekend. Both Kansas State and KU will play out of conference, as the Kansas State Wildcats will travel to Texas A&M, while the Kansas Jayhawks will take on Kentucky at Kentucky. Former Wichita State Shockers Fred Van Fleet and Landry Shamet each had 14 points last night in their games in the NBA. From the Sports Desk, I'm Doug Downs.
Right now, when it's cold outside, you should be thinking about spring, because when spring arrives and the grass starts growing, you'll want to start mowing. And Maximum Outdoor Equipment wants you and your lawnmower to be ready by offering an Oregon Parts Winter Service Special. Maximum Outdoor Equipment uses genuine Oregon parts, and through February 28th, they're offering you a 15% discount on winter service labor or half off pickup and delivery within a 25-mile radius. Don't wait until spring and get caught in a backlog with all the folks who didn't get their mowers serviced over the winter. Save time and money by taking advantage of Maximum Outdoor Equipment's Oregon Parts Winter Service Special, which ends February 28th. See Winter Service Special details online at MaximumOutdoor.com or give them a call at 943-0201. Maximum Outdoor Equipment is the small box store that knows mowers, just south of Kellogg on West Street.
Maximum service, maximum value, maximum outdoor equipment.
Attention, co-op members. In conjunction with Countryside Motors in Wellington, all co-op members and their families qualify for additional rebates on Chevrolet, Buick, Hustler turf equipment, and Polaris vehicles. This exclusive fleet rebate program is only being offered by Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas. Offers are not being published to the general public. They are available to co-op members in Kansas or Oklahoma. For full details, contact Countryside Motors in Wellington at 620-326-7433 or online at countrysidemotors.net.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center.
There will be no State of the Union speech originally scheduled for next Tuesday until the partial government shutdown is over. That is what House Speaker Nancy Pelosi wanted, and Bob Costantini reports President Trump will no longer fight it.
Shortly before midnight in Washington, the president tweeting, "I will do the address when the shutdown is over." Alternative sites may have been considered, yet in the end, Mr. Trump decided there is no venue that can compete with the history, tradition, and importance of the House chamber.
There's always a chance one of two competing bills before the Senate today to reopen the government could pass, but as one is expected to be supported by Democrats and the other by Republicans, there seems little chance either will make the 60-vote threshold. A woman identifying herself as the ex-girlfriend of the suspect in yesterday's mass shooting that killed 5 people at a Sebring, Florida bank says he often thought about hurting people and has long been fascinated with death and guns. Alex Zerlach tells WSBT in South Bend, Indiana, and the Washington Post she tried to warn people about Zeph and Zaber. I'm Michael Toscano.
Your local weather on KQAM. Brought to you by Maximum Outdoor Equipment. All equipment outdoors, from lawnmowers to snowblowers. Just south of Kellogg on West Street and online at MaximumOutdoor.com.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM for this morning. Cloudy but clearing, mostly sunny and 31, wind gusts near 30 miles an hour, mostly clear and 17 tonight. Tomorrow, still gusty, mostly sunny and 43, partly cloudy and 25 for tomorrow night. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 7:06, it's currently 32 degrees.
The Joe Pag Show, weekdays at 5 on the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM. It's time for Reason.
We need to have options. Now, healthcare is not a right. Let me repeat that. Healthcare is not a right. But as a civilized society, as a first world country, we need to have options for healthcare so that way we can actually extend our lives, a better way of life, because that's how we progress as a society and as a human species, is that we progress that way. But healthcare is not a right.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason, hour number 2. The Voice of Reason broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas. On the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. We are simulcasting on TV as well. KGPT TV channel 2610, which I know, I get it. I don't know why, but the lighting, I don't know if the lighting changed. I don't know if the camera changed, but we have like a yellow orangey tint on me today. I didn't fake bake or spray on a tan, I promise you. And I did not change cultures and did not become a different heritage or anything, I promise you. I don't know what's going on. I guess I could play that. I could self-identify as something different today. But if you're watching YouTube on youtube.com, or if you're watching the TV station, I don't know. There's a little orangey tint to it. I don't have jaundice. I promise you. It's a little weird. But I guess, you know what? I'm a conservative. I'm a Trump supporter. Call me a Cheeto, I guess, today anyways either. Welcome in. 316-721-8255. 316-721-TALK on a Thursday. It's the pre-Friday celebration, and it's great to have you along today. The big news, of course, is that Donald Trump has now officially postponed the State of the Union address. Nancy Pelosi writing the letter yesterday saying, we uninvite you. We're not going to approve you to come into the chambers until the government is reopened. Donald Trump making the statement late last night that, you know what, with the history, with the tradition, with the importance of doing it in the House of Representatives, okay, you know what, you're right. Let's work together here. I agree with you. We'll wait and postpone the State of the Union until the government reopens. And I called it. We knew it. It was Andy's predictions all along.
Andy's predictions.
I was watching the USA Today. It's in one of the TV studios here, and the TV's up, and they're talking about the media and, of course, the stories. And the headline, Donald Trump caves on State of the Union. Now, of course, when you try and do something good, you try and do something nice, you try and actually agree with the other side and say, okay, you know what, you're right. Let's not give a State of the Union until the government reopens. I'm not going to do it elsewhere. I could be invited by Mitch McConnell to the Senate floor. I could just do it right from the White House. I could just go to Puerto Rico and do it from the beaches of Puerto Rico, where you just had your party last week because you really don't care about the furloughed workers and you really don't care about trying to find a solution to reopen the government, Democrats. I could do that, but I choose not to. I choose to respect you, and I choose to wait until the government reopens, and then I will do it from the Senate, from the House floor, because it's that important. We love the history, we love the tradition of that, and that's what's the right thing to do. You give them an inch, and what do? They bite your leg off, and they say, Donald Trump caves on State of the Union. Here's what I have to say to you, media. What's that? I can't hear you. Oh, wait a second. What? Yeah, there it is. 316-721-8255. So the latest news, we knew the headlines were going to be Donald Trump caves on State of the Union address. He didn't cave. He's actually trying to work with them and be nice, and that's what he gets for that. This is why I say, don't even try and give them an inch. Don't even try it. Bite their head off as they do to you, and you know what? Do the State of the Union from the White House. Don't even worry about it, and don't even try to compromise with her, because she's so far gone. Hopefully, as we talked about in the last hour, there may be some moderate Democrats rising out of this saying, okay, let's come to some middle ground here. Let's come to some happy ground, and let's figure this out. But I don't see that happening. This half hour of the broadcast brought to you by Countryside Motors. It's a short drive down the turnpike for big savings. Make sure to check out the Buick and Chevy cars and trucks, along with, they don't just sell vehicles, but they also have the Polaris and Hustler, ATV and turf equipment. Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas. Online at countrysidemotors.net. Again, countrysidemotors.net. We appreciate them hanging out with us here on The Voice of Reason. Bringing it to the statewide level. We have, according to the Topeka Capital Journal, as you know, there's been the Trump tax windfall where Kansas, even though that we've had a negative GDP growth here in Kansas, and every other state in the country except for two others actually had positive growth, and the national economy is doing actually very well. And last year we saw, 4.5% GDP growth nationwide as a overall GDP. But Kansas, we're going to go negative and go negative 0.1%. We need to find ways to actually spur the economy here in Kansas. And there's conflicting ways to do that. Some say that we should actually, cut taxes and give it back to the people and let them have money and let them invest it in the economy and actually spend money. The commonsensical, appropriate response for that, right? But there are others that, of course, believe that the government should keep the money. We should increase our spending base. Then we can raise taxes and we can punish the rich. And then all of a sudden, people will have more money to start spending on stuff. I told you about the retail tax receipts, that people aren't spending money on retail. The sales tax receipts, they're not going higher. They were actually lower in December compared to December 2017 last year. Sales tax receipts, people spending money on goods like food or boats or homes or CDs or music or anything of the sort. They just weren't spending as much because they don't have as much money, because we're still struggling as a state. So how do we spur that? There's been a movement in our state legislature to want to give the tax windfall from the Trump tax windfall back to the people of Kansas, because when we got it, the government held on to it and said, nope, that's ours, baby. We're going to hang on to this and we're going to invest it. I love how they say they invest in things. They're not. They're just wasting it on agencies and departments, but they like to invest in things, and the Trump tax windfall never came back to the pockets of the people of Kansas. At the same time, mind you, we had the largest tax increase in state history retroactively. So when you filed your taxes last year, if you remember, you owed the state of Kansas money because they changed the tax rate in the middle of July. And then they said, oh, by the way, you're still responsible for that difference from January to July. So you're going to owe as an individual, as a business. We're going to screw up on your taxes so you have no idea how much to set aside. You have no idea how much you're actually going to owe. But that's a really good concept to actually spur our economy. And then at the same time, when we get money coming from the federal government for a tax windfall, when Trump did the major tax break, we're going to hang on to this up here because we know how to appropriate it more than you do by giving it back to you. And that's been the argument. So Republicans this year in the state legislature have come out and said, yeah, you know what, we probably should return that money back to the people of Kansas. And, of course, that got backlash from Governor Laura Kelly and from the Democrats because they say, no, we actually have a surplus right now of $900 million. We need to spend that money. We need to widen our spending base as a state government, and then we can move on from there. And now we're duking it out back and forth. Well, here's the latest from the Topeka Capital-Journal. Senate President Susan Wagle appointed 2 Democrats and 7 Republicans to a special committee yesterday to develop a bill redirecting a revenue windfall to the state treasury associated with reform of the federal tax code. Now, it's called the Senate Select Committee on Federal Tax Code Implementation, and she has appointed herself as the chairwoman, which has caused some discussion as well. And the point of it is to find a way to return the tax windfall from Trump back to the people in the state of Kansas so we can actually see that tax break come back to us. That's a great idea. Now, of course, some people have criticized that she's appointed herself as the chairwoman. Some say that it's just a political grandstanding because she is running for the U.S. Senate seat here in a couple of years, and she wants to be in charge of this. And Senate President Susan Wagle has kind of gone back and forth on issues before. She's been very wishy-washy on things, and she stands with conservatives. I think she's going to be more conservative this year for 2 reasons, and we're starting to see it already. Number one is because that we have a more conservative legislature, and she likes to stand with the majority of Republicans to be in the majority movement and be the productive one, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's a political way to do it. Politicians do that all the time. It's nothing surprising or shocking, but that's the way she rolls. Number two, she also wants to be more conservative going into a Senate race for the U.S. Senate. So we're going to see her more conservative. Now, whether that's her as a person or whether that's just her grandstanding, either way, I say let's ride that coattail right now and let's advance a conservative principle. I don't care. If it benefits us for now, let's roll with it. So we need to find a way to return the money back to the state of Kansas, back to the people of Kansas, away from the government. And when I say the state of Kansas, I mean the people, not the government, because the government's not the state. The people are the state. The people are the voice. The people are what it actually matters here, not the government. Very big difference. Democrats don't quite understand that concept yet. We'll work on that with them. We'll talk about that really slowly next time. Quote, the unexpected windfall directly linked to the federal tax cuts belong to taxpayers, not government, according to Susan Wagle. We want to enhance economic opportunity and increase our state's competitiveness, not force an unintended tax increase on hard-working Americans. I agree. Now, Senator Karen Tyson, also Republican and GOP chairwoman, said that she didn't agree with the personal decision to elect herself as the chairwoman for the special committee and said that it's more grandstanding, that it is actually benefiting the people of Kansas. And now there's squabbling between the Republicans for this committee. I don't care. I find it very interesting that this committee is being made. I don't know if we necessarily need the committee. I think that we should just have a vote on the floor with a bill presented by somebody with their name actually on it, not just a general committee name on there, which we'll talk about a little bit later on the transparency issue here in Kansas, but have someone's name on it and even have it Susan Wagle's name on it and present it to the floor and say, let's vote on this to return the money back to the people of Kansas. We can vote on it in the Senate and the House, which I think it would go through. It would be vetoed by Governor Laura Kelly because she says the government needs the money, you don't need the money, and then we can find a way to try and override her veto because that's what it's going to ultimately come down to at the end of the day anyways. Laura Kelly's going to say, no, we have a $900 million windfall coming in. We have money coming in. We have money that's sitting there. Thanks to Brownback, by the way, with more money sitting there in the reserves than what we did before he came into office when Kathleen Sebelius was in office. We actually have more money sitting there than we ever did before, or that we at least did before he came into office. So thanks, Brownback, for that one. Words you'll never hear from Laura Kelly, by the way. But thank you, Sam Brownback. Thank you for having not only more money in the bank for us to spend, but also making double payments on capers to get us caught up, because that what was really the challenging part with our budget before. But now we're going to delay our payments for our state pension plans. We're going to maybe miss a few payments for our pension plans. We're going to destroy our pension plan system, which, we need to reform it maybe anyways because, the Cadillac plans, whatever. But it's there. And we're going to run ourselves into a $7 billion debt down the road trying to pay the capers plans. But we can delay it. We can skip it. Whatever. Thanks for the money sitting in the bank. We're just going to spend it, increase our basic level of spending at the state level, and then go from there. Because just thinking about this, number one, hurts my head. Number two, just makes me shake my head and say, what the hell are we doing? What are we doing? 316-721-8255. We have some fights to be had. And I don't care whether a committee's made. I don't care whether we just present it on the floor. I don't care whether we actually have a regular tax committee or budget committee look at this and create the bill to give the Trump tax windfall back to the people of Kansas. We can get the money back in our pockets, or maybe they can just write it off on our taxes. Here's what you do. You just deduct it from the amount of money that we owe to the state of Kansas when we file our taxes. There it is. You usually owe this amount. We're going to take the windfall and apply it there, so therefore you owe less, and we can already deduct that out. Very simple, very easy. Here you go. You got a refund from the state of Kansas. Or if you usually owe, then you'll break even. Very simple. Do it that way. Disperse it amongst the people and be done with it. And yes, make the Kansas government owe you rather than you owe the government. Crazy concept, I know, but that's usually the easiest way to do it. We don't need a special committee to do that. If we do, then let's make it happen. But Kelly, she wouldn't like that. That's chipping into her bottom line. And that is the most important bottom line that we can have in the state. To hell with your personal finances, to hell with your business finance. It's the government's finance that is the number one primo, baby. That's the most important. Let's go to the phones here, shall we? Let's go to our ABC Recycling Hotlines. Line number 1. Good morning. What's your name? Hello. Going once. Going twice. All right. I'm going to put you on hold. Come back to you in just a second. Let's take call number 2. Good morning. What's your name?
Yeah, Dave.
Hey, good morning, Dave. How are you, sir?
Oh, good. Thanks.
Good.
Hey, I was reading an article the other day. I think it was on MarketWatch.com, or maybe it was FoxBusiness.com. Anyway, it was about retirees and finding places, low tax places to go live when they retire. And this article, it looked at several taxes, sales tax, property tax, income tax, and so on. And it indicated that Kansas was the third highest in the United States.
Sure.
I don't know if that's right, but if it is, I can't believe it. Number one, that we've got a Republican-dominated legislature, and we've allowed ourselves to get in this situation.
It's sad, isn't it?
Absolutely ridiculous.
It is.
It's
no,
really terrible.
And it is right. When you look at, number one, we are the 7th highest in the country for sales tax because most states do not put a sales tax on their food. We do, and the rates that we do it with the state and the county and city-wide levels, we're number 7 in the country for the highest sales tax in the country. Then combine that with the income tax, where we were doing well under Brownback, trying to go to the path to zero, doing the stair step down to where we would have a 0% income tax and just focus on sales tax, kind of like the ways that Texas and some other states like to do that. Then we ended up correcting that in 2016, 2017, and doing, quote-unquote correction, and going to the largest tax increase in state history, bumping up the income tax, maintaining the level of the sales tax. Then we have property tax that continues to increase with no cap on it year over year, which is what Kris Kobach was trying to campaign on during the governor's race, was that we need to cap the amount that it can raise each year. We don't have a cap on it right now. And between the property tax, the income tax, and the sales tax, you're right. With that compared to the cost of living ratios in the state, we are ranked number 3 in the nation for the highest taxes with our cost of living and the cost of goods here in our state. And you're absolutely right. We have a Republican-led majority in both chambers that has been there for a really, really long time, and we've allowed ourselves to get to that point. Why? Because we have moderate Republicans that have tried to compromise and give in and bend over backwards to allow Democrats to get their way, and we've spent more than we've brought in, and we've never changed our spending habits.
Yeah, it's really sad. Thanks for taking my call.
Hey, appreciate it very much, Dave. That's a great point, and I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, number 3 in the country compared to our cost of living, that's scary, and you wonder why that we're number 5 in the country for people leaving the state, and we're number 45 in the country for people coming into the state. Now, we can bring all the job opportunities we want to, but unless the environment's correct for you to want to move to the state, then we have a bit of a problem, don't we? And it's not going to change. And Democrats want to go further down that road. Progressives, I should say progressives, because many moderate Republicans want to do the same thing. That's why you see a lot of Republicans actually switching party lines to the Democrats this year, because we're saying enough's enough, and they're saying, oh, wait a second, we've been doing this for years. Why are you all of a sudden changing your mind? So they switch to the Democrats, and so the progressives want to further go down that road and think that's going to somehow solve the problem. Well, we say enough's enough. Let's actually lower the tax burden and want to bring people in here. So then the opportunities that are here with jobs are actually going to get filled because people want to move to the state of Kansas. Got to take a break. We got a lot more calls on the line. All the lines are lit up right now. 316-721-8255. Stay here. We'll get to you as soon as we come back right here on The Voice of Reason.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Ag News, Mid-America Ag Network. I'm Craig Mead. During the negotiations to hopefully bring an end to the trade war between China and the United States, China committed to and has bought American soybeans over the past week. Joe Vaclavic is founder and CEO of Standard Grain in Chicago, who says the soybean purchases have had some effect on commodity markets.
U.S. shipments to China were the best in 10 months last week. We loaded 6 vessels headed to China, I think 2 out of the Gulf, 4 out of the PNW. So it's the best we've seen in a long time. So is that a positive? Yeah. I mean, it's certainly better than the alternative, which would be nothing.
Will the purchases continue? Well, of course, that's hard to say simply because this isn't the typical time of year for China to buy beans from the United States.
It's the end of January. Brazil crop's coming on early. It's going to be down from last year, but it's not going to be a disaster. The Argentina crop's going to be up sharply from last year. So the question is this. We've got a trade war. During the trade war, is China going to make large contra-seasonal purchases of U.S. soybeans, despite the fact that, 1, they usually don't make them this time of year, and 2, they've got a 25% tariff on beans? It just doesn't appear likely to me. It really doesn't.
The other question, of course, is just how much Chinese demand is there for soybeans right now. Chinese government officials say their soybean imports will be off by about 11% from last year. Vaclavic says there are a number of possible reasons for the demand drop in China.
Some people would point to the African swine fever, and they'd say that it's decimated the hog herd to a point that protein needs are really falling. Other people would say that the country's economy is slowing, and that's the reason why. Other people would say that it's because of the trade war and because of the tariffs, and China has shifted to other proteins.
Vaclavic says the falling demand on the part of China could be a result of any of those factors or even a combination of all of those factors. Ag News, Mid-America Ag Network.
The big game is February 3rd, and KQAM Radio would like you and 9 of your friends to enjoy it all at the all-new BNC Barbecue. Listen for the sounder each weekday morning between now and February 1st during the Voice of Reason, and when you hear that sounder, be the first correct caller to get registered to win the big game party at the all-new BNC Barbecue. 10 of you will head to BNC Barbecue for food, drinks, and fun to watch the big game on over 20 brand-new TVs. It's the big game party giveaway with BNC Barbecue and the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM KQAM.
Croft Lumber of Heston. Project expertise from start to finish. At Croft Lumber, you'll experience big box store selection with Heston owned and operated pride in serving you, the customer. Quality Anderson and Marvin windows, Anderson and Larson storm doors, the full line of custom kitchen cabinetry from R.D. Henry and Company. And Croft Lumber has the full Milwaukee tool line. Croft Lumber, where service is their specialty and delivery within a 50-mile radius is absolutely free. Croft Lumber of Heston.
Call the Voice of Reason now on the ABC Recycling phone lines at 721-8255. This is The Big Talker, KQAM.
This song always makes me want to run up a flight of stairs and run down the road, but then I think about how much work that takes, and I change my mind very quickly. Welcome back in. Great to have you along for the ride. 27 minutes past the hour on a pre-Friday celebration. 316-721-8255. Let's go back to the phones here, shall we? Line number 2. Good morning. What's your name? Hello. All right. Oh, yep. I think we missed you there. Are you there? Nope. Never mind. All right. Give me a call back. We want to hear from you there. Let's go to line number 3. Good morning. What's your name?
Morning, Andy. This is Doug.
Doug, what's going on, sir? How you doing?
Well, I'm doing all right. It's almost Friday.
Hey, that's a good day.
I got 2 points.
Okay.
Point 1 is on the Trump State of the Union address.
Sure.
He's got something up his sleeve. If you think he caved, you don't know me very well, do he?
No, you're right. He's always 3 steps ahead.
He's going to burn Pelosi.
Sure.
But I think he wants to do it from our own pulpit.
That's true. That is true. You're right. He is always 3 steps ahead, and I just find it ironic. You try and give them something and be like, you know what? You're right. We shouldn't do a State of the Union when the government shut down. Okay, I'll wait. And now the media runs with it. Oh, look at that. He caved. He's crumbling. He doesn't know how to handle it. And that's the headline all over the place. Donald Trump caves on State of the Union. It's like you can't even try and be nice, and they'll jump all over you. You have to be mean, but you're a jerk when you're mean because then you're not willing to work with anybody else. But when you do try and work with them, then, you're just caving and you're giving in. I don't get it.
Yeah, he's got something up his sleeve. I'm just going to sit back and eat some Doritos and watch it play out.
I like that. That's a good point.
All right. Point number 2, as far as the state GDP.
Yes.
We are the biggest agrarian state per capita. We got enough land we can feed the whole world for like 2 weeks straight.
Sure. I tell you what, Doug, hold on the line here. We got to take a bottom of the hour break, and we'll let you finish your thought when we come back. You're right. We have a lot of resources here, and that can play in our hands. So we'll let you finish your point when we come back. Got some other calls on the line. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we got lots more to get to. I want to talk about some bills that are presented in the legislature, some good stuff and bad stuff, plus some things that we may be giving away on the air. Stay right here.
The latest news from the Big Talker, KQAM.
President Trump says he'll postpone his State of the Union address until the partial government shutdown ends. Trump blames House Speaker Nancy Pelosi for the cancellation.
What she's doing to the American people, what she's doing to our Constitution is a disgrace.
Speaker Pelosi had asked Trump to delay the speech until the shutdown is resolved. Votes scheduled in the Senate today are not expected to end the partial government shutdown, entering its 5th week. A Venezuelan political battle over leadership is brewing.
President Trump announcing Wednesday he's recognizing Juan Guaido as the president of Venezuela. This comes nearly 2 weeks after President Nicolas Maduro, who was inaugurated for a second 6-year term in an election deemed illegitimate by the U.S. and more than a dozen other countries. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
In legal damages related to her case in Italy, a European Human Rights Court awards Amanda Fox the equivalent of $20,000 US. I'm John Trout.
If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, please call this toll-free number right now. 800-390-9528. That's 800-390-9528. By calling your addiction team, you're taking the first steps to recovery. The help you need could be one call away. 800-390-9528. Make the free call now. 800-390-9528. Your addiction team is a third-party advertiser for various treatment centers and placement networks. Individual results will vary. Visit youraddictionteam.com/terms for more information.
It's time for some straight talk. Some folks say less is more. That's ridiculous. More is more. And when you buy a new phone from Straight Talk Wireless, we'll give you 50% more high-speed data for the same low price. That's 50% more data for posting selfies, more for streaming cute baby videos, more for whatever you want. Get 3 gigs for $35 or 15 gigs for $45 and America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks with no contract. Straight Talk Wireless.
Kansas Mid-America Network News. Good Thursday. Kansas legislators are still allowed to take unrecorded votes on legislation in committee and as the state or Senate debates bills despite an ongoing push for greater openness in state government. The Republican-controlled House approved new rules yesterday for 2019 and 2020 that include a few changes that leaders said would promote transparency. But both sets of rules maintain a long-standing practice of allowing committees to take unrecorded votes. The Kansas Department of Labor says federal employees who are furloughed during the partial government shutdown can seek unemployment benefits. The Salina Journal reports that federal workers in Kansas can apply for unemployment benefits by calling the department's Unemployment Contact Center. The state says federal employees who are still working full-time without pay during the shutdown will not be eligible. Mid-America Network News. Waring and Fiegel Optometry at 2121 North Tyler, number 302, has a selection of prescription sun eyewear that's so bright everyone can be wearing shades. Waring and Fiegel Optometry has the names in sun eye apparel that people seek. Prescription eyewear from Maui Jim, Oakley, Wiley X, Rudy Project, and even sunglasses from Amphibia. Squinting in this beautiful sunshine doesn't have to be a thing. What are you wearing? Waring and Fiegel Optometry, 21st in Tyler.
El Dorado Livestock Auction, 2.5 miles east of El Dorado on Highway 54. A sale every Thursday at 11 a.m. Let's take a look at some of the consignments for this week's sale, Thursday, January 24th. 50 red Angus steers. These are weaned, weighing 725 to 775 pounds. A group of 26 steers and heifers. They're weaned, weighing 700 to 750 pounds. 60 mostly black steers. They're weaned, 90 days. 69 black steers also weaned. These will weigh 700 to 800 pounds. A group of 89 black steers and heifers, dry winter, long weaned. These will weigh 625 to 675 pounds. And another group of 13 black steers and heifers, long weaned, also weighing 625 to 675 pounds. If you have any questions about any consignments or would like to make a consignment of your own, call El Dorado Livestock Auction at 316-320-3212. El Dorado Livestock Auction, a sale every Thursday at 11 a.m.
Joe and the guys at Carl's Goodyear, well, they are nice guys. That's the only way to describe them. Need new tires? Got you covered. Flat tire fixed? Done. Tune-up? Oil change? Brakes? Exhaust? Radiator? You get the idea. They do almost everything for your vehicle. They will also give you a ride when your car is in the shop. Nice guys who know auto repair, but above that, they know people and treat them like they would want to be treated. Carl's Goodyear, right on the corner of Market and Waterman, 264-5385.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM for this morning. Cloudy but clearing, mostly sunny and 31, wind gusts near 30 miles an hour, mostly clear and 17 tonight. Tomorrow, still gusty, mostly sunny and 43, partly cloudy and 25 for tomorrow night. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 7:35, it's currently 32 degrees.
This segment of The Voice of Reason on KQAM brought to you by Riverside Cafe, home of the 3-pound burger and hand-cut fries, plus breakfast all day long. 2 Wichita locations and 824 North Baltimore in Derby. Riverside Cafe. If you're a Republican, call the show at 316-721-TALK. But if you're a Democrat, call in at 316-721-8255. This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, welcome into The Voice of Reason. Great to have you for the ride today. It is a pre-Friday celebration, having more fun than any other radio show ever. Yeah. Advancing conservatism, usually on a daily basis. No, we are, every day. Usually about 98% sure of our gender identification on a daily basis. This half hour of the broadcast brought to you by Riverside Cafe, 9125 West Central Avenue, along with 739 West 13th Street and 824 North Baltimore in Derby. 2 locations in Wichita, 1 in Derby. I have your complimentary breakfast gift certificate that we'll give away at the end of this segment, and I think we might do it as a dual package here with something else that we may try and give away as well. So stay tuned in. We'll give that away before the end of the segment in this half hour. Also, we are hopping on YouTube today. I love it. YouTube.com. Just type in KQAM Radio on the search, and you'll find KQAM Radio. You'll see the live feed probably pop up. You can subscribe to the YouTube page, and then every day when we go live, you'll see a notification saying that we're live. You can watch all the podcasts, because that's where our podcast is right now, is on YouTube, so you can watch all of those. It's awesome. We're killing it on YouTube today. We appreciate that very much. Thank you. We're trying to get up. Well, right now, we are at like 75 subscribers on the YouTube page. Let's get to 100 before the end of the week. Today and tomorrow, let's get to 100 subscribers. It's really easy. Again, just go to youtube.com find the KQAM page. Just type in KQAM Radio, like us, subscribe to it, and I love it. We're growing. We're doing it. It's small, it's slow, but it's good. It's growing, and we're going to be huge. Before you know it, we are the fastest growing radio show in the state of Kansas. Welcome in, 316-721-8255. Let's go back to the phones here, shall we, as we have the lines all lit up across the board, which I absolutely love, right here on the ABC Recycling Hotlines. Line number 2, good morning, what's your name? I'm sorry, hold on 1 second there. Doug, we had you on the air, and sorry, I almost cut you off there, but Doug, you were making a point as well about some of the resources here in Kansas, correct? Are you there, Doug? No, maybe I did change lines here. Let's go back to the phones here. Good morning, what's your name?
Andy.
Hey, yeah, there we go. All right, I cut you off there. I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's all right.
There we go.
No, my point was, with as agrarian of a society as we are in this state and a culture, man, I'm going to say it, we got to legalize it. We got to grow that plant. That's the number one way to get money to the people in this state. And you're not going to change my mind on it. Colorado is a great example.
Well, I don't know. Colorado, now are you talking about agricultural hemp or the marijuana or both?
No, we got our agricultural hemp, and despite the bureaucracy of it being a research program, which is crap, we got agricultural hemp. We got that on a federal level now with the new farm bill. I'm talking about cannabis, the plant.
Sure.
It's the same plant anyways, whether it be hemp or it's the exact same plant. The THC content level and how it's bred is what's different about it.
Exactly. No, you're right. No,
and I'm talking about full-on, blown, recreational, just like you'd walk into the liquor store and come out with your brown bag because that's your vice.
Sure.
Let me walk in there and come out with my brown bag.
Sure. Here's the thing, and if we do that, you're right. I think the GDP will grow in Kansas, which is what we need to do. I don't know if it will help the economy as much as we would like to because they're going to tax it at an insanely high rate the way they do in Colorado. And just like in Colorado, we give more money to the government, which I don't want to see. If we're going to do it, let's keep it at a very low tax rate. And let's spur the economy that way by keeping it in the private sector instead of taxing it to an ungodly amount. But Colorado, they did it. They taxed it at a ridiculously high rate. And what they did was they ended up spending more than what they should be. Instead of stashing it away and paying off debts, just like you give the government more money, then they end up spending more of it. And Colorado's actually in the same boat we are with budgetary crises. They were last year $250 million in the red, in the negative, because they had to balance their budget because they spent all the money with the anticipation of what they were getting in from those pot sales. So does it grow the economy? Yes. At the same time, we give them more money, they spend more money, and we're going to be back in the same boat.
Yeah, but how many people are flocking to Colorado versus flocking to Kansas?
Well, that is true. I mean, you're right. And even with, mind you, with the retail market, the housing market that is booming and that is completely way above what normal people would actually spend for homes, they are still buying there. They are flocking there. The homeless population's gone. But we don't have that population issue here in Kansas yet. So you're right. I mean, it will help something, and I do agree with you on that. My concern is that they're going to spend that we need to address the deeper issue rather than just looking at ways to bring in more industry, which I agree we need to do. We have to look at on the other side as well and say we're not going to get out of this until we fix our spending habits in Topeka, and we have to address that just as much.
I'm sorry, but I don't think you're ever going to fix Topeka.
Well, I think there's an opportunity to do so, but no, you're right, and I think that we do have opportunity for different industries to come in here, whether it's agricultural hemp or whether it is the recreational marijuana, which, again, I don't know if I necessarily am on board with that one because I've seen what it's done, but there is opportunity for economic growth. So, Doug, I appreciate it very much, and I like it because you're looking at different ways for us to bring in revenue. That can help us. Is that going to be the fix? I don't know. It would definitely help grow the economy for sure, grow the GDP for sure, instead of looking at the same industries, just trying to expand the aviation industry, expand the agricultural industry, which we need to do, but we need to kind of find some happy other ways to balance it out as well when those industries take a tank, which they have done in the last few years, especially under Brownback, when it was the evil, terrible Brownback economy, apparently, that, made us lose so much money at the statewide level. Appreciate it very much. Let's go back to it. Line number 3. Good morning. What's your name? Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how we doing?
Okay.
Hey, good morning. What's going on?
I was just wondering, I think it's time we start going around and picking up these illegals and sending them back to wherever they came from and telling them not to come back.
Well, that would definitely save some money.
They came in illegally, and we have no room for them, and we need to ship them back.
Sure. That would save some money with the money we spend on education, the way we spend on social programs, the way we spend on food stamps and health care. That would definitely save some money in the long run. No, I don't know about going to the door and knocking on doors and trying to search the home sort of thing, but I think that we should give the ability for law enforcement, if they run into somebody because they pulled them over on the side of the street and they find that they're illegal.
I got a feeling that the cops know where a lot of them are.
Well, that's true. That is true as well, that we have an opportunity to maybe start cleaning that issue up. I appreciate that very much. Look, there's different ways we can do that, and I'm all for it. I think we need to really take a hard look at our immigration stance, not just nationally, but statewide as well. So appreciate the call. Let's go back to it. Line number 1. Good morning. What's your name?
Hi, Andy. This is Helen.
Good morning, Helen. How are you?
I'm doing just great.
Good.
Well, AOC thinks that our world wars are, well, we've already had a World War II, but that our world wars are going to be with climate change. Well, it's not. God says that, you've heard God talk about the Battle of Armageddon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, there's basically two battles. There's the Battle of Armageddon and Hamon-Gog, which happened at the same time. Armageddon is Revelations chapter 16. Hamon-Gog is Ezekiel 38 and 39. Those happen simultaneously at the same time, and those are like a world war. It's the world warring against God. And guess who wins that battle?
Oh, yeah, shocker. Shocker. But come on. The priority here is we need to really focus on climate change. And if we don't, we'll all be dead in 12 years. And AOC's got it going on. Remember, the majority of Democrats said that they'd vote for her for president if she tried to run, which again shows the lunacy on that left side of the aisle. Helen, I appreciate that. I want to sneak in some more phone calls here as we got the ball rolling. Also, there are I do want to get to as well some interesting bills that have been happening lately in the legislature, and Dan Hawkins, the House Majority Leader, made a statement on this just a day or two ago, I believe yesterday, along with SB 35. I don't know if you're aware or not, but there are a lot of bills, both in the Senate and in the House in Topeka right now, that are regarding health care. I don't know if these are little ways to try and sneak in their Medicaid expansion, but they are trying to redefine, and this again just goes into the whole mindset of there's a lot of details and a lot of legal stuff that's just way too bogged down and really tying down and putting tying the hands of the private sector to allow things to actually be the way they need to be. But they're really trying to define health care for workers and temporary health care. Senate Bill number 35 right now does hereby amend to read as following: specifically designed policy means an insurance policy that may be designed to not meet all reports of the definition of the group or individual sickness and accidental insurance. Policies include temporary sickness and accidental insurance on short-term, limited duration basis. Expanding Medicaid for covering individuals on a limited basis is starting to happen. The discussion as we talk about Medicaid in the state of Kansas and our spending and our budget, this is starting to happen. And there are numerous, there's probably 5 or 6 or 7 bills in both chambers right now regarding the definition and the legalities of health care for corporations and businesses in Kansas, for individuals, for Medicaid, for short-term and limited health durations, where you can sign up for an 8-month to a 1-year plan through the government, and it's starting to happen. So we're going to keep a close eye on this because I think the Medicaid expansion debate is going to really blow up in our face here relatively soon, and we need to be on top of this. This is just one bill of many right now in both chambers of our state legislature that's really causing some issues. So I'll keep you posted. But that's the latest that we're seeing right now on the health care. They're really starting to focus on health care-related topical issues in our legislature. Medicaid expansion, potentially right around the corner, and we have to keep on top of this to be able to fight that left and right. They're going to try coming at us directly, full force. They're also going to try to do it in very sneaky ways that we need to catch on and stop right in its steps. Got it. Let's take another phone call before we take a break, shall we? Line number 3. Good morning. What's your name?
It's Wallace.
Wallace, what's going on, sir? How you doing?
Hey, not too bad.
Good.
So, I don't know. Every time someone says, "Hey, let's sell pot," that's a great idea. You mentioned Colorado, and it seems like I've read multiple times where most of the tax benefit has been squandered. Basically, you've got a loss of productivity. It's created a huge black market because the prices are high.
Yes.
Now, because you can sell pot there, cartels have actually moved into Colorado and are using it as a base of operations.
Yes.
Not to mention, what happens? It's bad enough you have people that get drunk and show up for work. But if someone gets, if they're using pot and your work has a no-drug policy and you fail a drug test, well, now that person has the ability to go on the state program because now they're unemployed, and now they're getting in my pocket.
Well, there's a lot to that. And we talked about that a few weeks ago on the show as well, that if you do it the night prior, you're still going to have it in your system if you get a drug test on you. And therefore, where's that line drawn between you had your fun last night, but are you still being affected by it the next day when you get the drug test, and where the stance is for a lot of businesses. And you're absolutely right. Again, I'm not against marijuana. I'm against how it's been implemented, and I don't know how to best implement it into society, because you're absolutely right. Number one, when they first legalized marijuana in Colorado, having lived there at the time when they were pushing this, they said that the majority of the money is going to go towards building new infrastructure for schools in the education system. Great. You know what? So we pay for – don't do drugs, kids, but all the pot smokers in the area is going to pay for your new school and your new books. So I found that kind of comical. They ended up not applying it to that. They put it into the general funds. They spent all the money because they saw such massive increase in tax revenue. They spent all of it. In the last few years, they've been fighting a $250 to $300 million shortfall in the state of Colorado. You're absolutely right about the drug lords. I just saw a story just a few days ago about Loveland, a beautiful area, great ski resort there. I love going there, beautiful area. Just got busted with a $1 million drug bust that was illegal in that area. Not to mention, now the majority of the revenue coming into the state has now been paying for rehab centers, that they've had to increase the number of rehab centers for addiction to drugs. Not to mention, they've had to increase the number by massive amounts of law enforcement and drug task forces in different counties to fight the drugs that are coming in that are there illegally. My little county of Park County that I lived up in the mountains had a total of 15,000 registered voters in the entire county. It's a mountain community, not a whole lot of people there. They had to triple the size of the county sheriff's department for a drug task force to fight the drugs. Now tell me how that's saving money for the state and actually generating revenue. To me, we're losing money on that issue.
Well, and, to be honest, I've said this, time and time again. Your freedom to be you includes my freedom to be free from you.
Sure.
And the other thing is, if marijuana isn't addictive like the potheads say, then why do they risk going to jail to buy it and use it? I've never understood that.
Sure.
Their craving is so deep that they'll risk their liberty, probably the most precious thing you have, to go smoke a weed.
Sure. And again, I don't care that you smoke it. It makes no difference to me. And I don't mind if we legalize or we talk about the legalization. But if we're going to, I want to look at it in the reasonable ways where we're not going to lose money, where we're not going to increase the police state to some degree or have more law enforcement needing to fight this, where we're not going to bring in drug lords because you want to tax it at a 300% rate so you can still get it cheaper behind the gas station as opposed to going into the store. And I want to see it done. If we're going to do it, I want to see it done the right way. And so far, I have not seen a state do it the right way.
Well, I would prefer my heart surgeon and my aircraft mechanic not be potheads.
Well, then there's that too. So,
I'm just saying.
And we have a lot of manufacturing in the state, so have someone forget that one bolt that makes the whole car fall apart or that whole plane fall apart because they missed it. So you're right. So Wallace, I appreciate that. We got to take a break. Got some other calls in line. I'm sure a lot of people now angry about that statement. I don't want to go down the marijuana debate right now, but it was brought up as a potential revenue builder for the state. Would it be a revenue builder? Potentially, but what cost does it take to actually enforce it once we do legalize it? Again, it could be a neutral thing, which then you're really just giving the government more money and more spending power, which we don't need right now because we need to get our budget under control. Got to take a break. 8 minutes to the top of the hour. Stay right here. Hour number 3 coming up.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Market information from Mid-America Ag Network. Live cattle futures saw 40-cent to 75-cent gains in most contracts Wednesday. Feeder cattle futures were up $1.32 to $2.15. The CME feeder cattle index was down 4 cents January 22nd at 141.58. Wholesale boxed beef prices were higher Wednesday afternoon. Choice boxes were up 87 cents at 217.21. Select boxes were 32 cents higher at 212.04. USDA estimated federally inspected cattle slaughter at 352,000 head through Wednesday. That's 7,000 head less than last week, well above the same week last year, though. Lean hog futures posted 15 cent to $1.25 losses in most contracts Wednesday. The CME lean hog index was up 26 cents from the previous day at 58.33 January 21st. And the USDA pork carcass cutout value was down 93 cents Wednesday afternoon with an average weighted price of 68.70. The national base hog carcass value is up 40 cents with a weighted average price of 52.49. USDA week-to-date federally inspected hog slaughter estimated at 1.342 million head through Wednesday, 81,000 head below the previous week. Refocusing now, corn, soybeans, wheat. Corn futures are trading fractionally lower this morning after ending Wednesday with most contracts steady to 1.5 cents higher. Soybean futures are currently 1 to 1.5 cents lower after being up as much as 6 cents on Wednesday, and wheat futures are fractionally lower in Chicago and in Kansas City. Looking at where we are this moment, March corn down 0.5 cent, 3.78 1/4. May corn down 0.5 cent, 3.86 3/4. March KC wheat down 3/4 at 5.14 1/4. May's down 1.5 at 5.22 3/4. March soybeans down 2.5, 9.12 1/2. May beans down 2.5 at 9.26 1/4. Soybean meal is up a bit. Soybean oil is tracking lower here early on Thursday. Market information from Mid-America Ag Network.
Hi, this is Blake Davis with Davis Liquor Outlet. Hey, have you signed up for our online coupons yet at davisliquoroutlet.com? Simply log on to our website, click the Get Monthly Coupons link, and sign up today. Monthly specials at your fingertips. davisliquoroutlet.com. Each store independently owned and operated.
There are two things you can count on every winter. One, you can count on it getting colder. And two, you can count on your Cenex fuel distributor to get you through the season without equipment problems. Our Cenex premium diesel fuels are seasonally enhanced to give you optimal performance and protection for your fleet or farm equipment. We can also advise you on how to prep and blend down your tanks to avoid gelling and ice problems. So for a trouble-free season, count on Cenex.
See OK Co-op in Kiowa, Kansas.
Mike here at Rusty Eck Ford with some exciting news. Our year-end offer is now extended till January 31st. That means you can still come pick out a new Ford and make no payments till 2020. That's right, drive it for all of 2019 and make no payments until 2020. Check out our nice selection at rustyeckford.com or come in person and take a look. When you decide, we'll set it up with no payments till 2020. Hey, it's a new year and you can have a happy new car. New cars, trucks, or SUVs with no payments till 2020 through January 31st. This offer is only available at Rusty Eck Ford in Wichita Town East and Kellogg. We're Rusty Eck Ford proud. Dealer retains rebates, Ford credit, interest accrues from date of sale. All negative equity paid in full. Max payment assistance up to $500. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Come visit us at Rusty Eck Ford or go to rustyeckford.com.
I'm Brian Davis. And I'm Blake Davis. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are special pricing beer days at Davis Liquor Outlet.
Thursday is wine day.
Every day of the week is a 10% discount for senior citizens.
And military, past and present, with valid ID.
Learn more at davisliquoroutlet.com.
Each store is independently owned and operated.
Feeding your addiction to talk radio. The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on KQAM, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM.
Hey, I love it. We just had another subscriber to the YouTube page. Thanks again to Jerry doing that one. Go to youtube.com, type in KQAM Radio. Find the page, subscribe to it. We're almost at 100. Let's get to 100 before the end of the week. That'd be really cool. I'd love to do that. Hey, as a reminder as well, tonight, the Kansas Republican Assembly, they meet Golden Corral tonight on the west part of town at 6:30. Myself, I'll be speaking along with the other talk show host, John Whitmer. Blasphemer. Going to the other station, but we still love him. Him and I will both be speaking as the two talk show hosts in town at the Kansas Republican Assembly again tonight, 6:30 at the Golden Corral on the western part of Wichita. So come check it out tonight. We'd love to see you out there. It'll be a fun conversation, fun event. Go and see us. I got to give this away because we forgot to do it at the end of last segment as we were all riled up. I know probably upset a whole lot of people. So I want to clear the lines. I'm sorry. We'll get to you here in just a second. But we got to give away our complimentary burger and fries. Or I'm not the burger and fries, but breakfast from Riverside Cafe. 2 locations in Wichita, 1 in Derby at 9125 West Central Avenue, 739 West 13th Street, and 824 North Baltimore in Derby. We have your breakfast. Let's do caller number 3. Caller number 3 right now at 316-721-8255. We'll get you your breakfast from Riverside Cafe. It's a great breakfast. We love giving that away each and every Thursday, and the phones are all lit up now, so we'll get you here in just a second. So caller number 3 will get you your breakfast from Riverside Cafe. When we come back, we'll be shifting gears just a little bit, talking about what topic we actually had in the first hour. Frances Rosenbluth wrote a piece on can we save our democracy, which we don't have a democracy, but can we save our system of governance and bring the parties back to common sense and reason? We'll do that when we come back in hour number 3, plus your phone calls. We have the government shutdown. Will it be ending soon? We have some more transparency bills in our state legislature. A heck of a lot of things going on right now, don't we? And we love it. There's never a dull moment. Hour number 3 coming up in a second here. We'll get your caller, and we'll get your winner for the breakfast from Riverside Cafe. Plus, we got another giveaway to do in hour number 3, so stay tuned in for that. Lots more to get to right here on The Voice of Reason on a pre-Friday celebration. Stay here. KS State Bank is ready to help welcome you to your new home. Our team of lenders will help find the best solution for you with lending options that include VA, FHA, renovation, jumbo loans, and our new Heroes program. Plus, we offer competitive rates, low fees, and experience and service you can rely on. To learn more about KS State Bank home loans and apply online, visit our specialized website at homeloans.ksstate.bank. KS State Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Wichita Family Dental knows there's some things in life that you just have to wait for.
Is this light ever going to turn green?
But when you're feeling dental pain, getting relief shouldn't be something you have to wait for.
'Cause I haven't got time for the pain.
At Wichita Family Dental, if you've got pain this morning and call before noon, you'll be seen today, guaranteed. Wichita Family Dental, East and West. Call 263-GRIN. That's 263-GRIN.
This is a Steckline Communication Station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM. Wichita proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by MJ's Truck Repair of Mound Ridge, Kansas. Sales and service of the big rigs and trailers, plus ag diesel equipment repair on and off the farm.
Good Thursday morning. One person died this morning in an early morning house fire in South Wichita. KTV reports dispatch said that firefighters were called to the home around 7:15 this morning in the 2500 block of South Washington near Pawnee and Washington. And once inside the structure, crews found the body of the deceased person. An amended lawsuit by the wife of injured former Wichita police officer Brian Arterburn alleges Eddie Chevrolet Cadillac, owned by Rodney and Brandon Stephen, was negligent because they didn't report the Chevy Tahoe stolen until after Arterburn was hit by the vehicle, or that the Tahoe actually wasn't stolen at all. The court document filed this week on behalf of Arterburn's wife claims someone from the dealership loaned the SUV to Justin Terrasas, and data shows that calls were made from the SUV via Bluetooth to upper management at the dealership during the 7 weeks it was reportedly missing. KTV reports attorneys would not confirm whether the dealership had direct contact with Terrasas, who was sentenced to more than 28 years in prison for running over Arterburn and other crimes. Claudale Arterburn asking for damages related to the former officer's injuries. First responders were out in the overnight hours after a building caught fire early this morning near the intersection of St. Francis and Indianapolis Streets. KWCH-TV reports fire crews were called out around 1:45 this morning and arrived to find the building was fully engulfed in flames. Firefighters battled the blaze from the outside of the building due to concern the structure may collapse. No injuries were reported. The fire is under investigation. Making your way around the country from the air capital could become a lot easier. KWCH-TV reports iFly Wichita is looking to bring more direct flights to Eisenhower Airport. The airport says it's looking to expand flights to the east and west coast where flights to and from Eisenhower are most underserved. I'm Rick Everett from the news desk. Now with sports, Doug Downs.
Preliminary plans were released yesterday for the new baseball stadium being built in downtown Wichita. The stadium will need to open by 2020. Some of the features of the stadium will include 3 entrances into the ballpark, 60 concession stands between mobile and fixed. Also, there will be 6,000 wider seats that will be positioned behind home plate and down the baselines, and luxury suites. There's a groundbreaking ceremony scheduled for February 13th. In Big 12 college basketball, last night the Oklahoma Sooners outlasted the Oklahoma State Cowboys in the second series of Bedlam, 70-61. From the sports desk, I'm Doug Downs.
The Laundry Station in Wichita is Kansas' premier laundry services provider. The Laundry Station has machines for all of your needs in the Wichita area. In fact, the largest machine can handle 10 loads at a time. Imagine a laundry facility where you don't need change. The Laundry Station accepts Apple Pay, debit cards, and credit cards, and your quarters as well. The Laundry Station is conveniently located in the heart of Wichita, on Oliver at Kellogg. The Laundry Station, and online at thelaundrystationks.com.
Attention, co-op members. In conjunction with Countryside Motors in Wellington, all co-op members and their families qualify for additional rebates on Chevrolet, Buick, Hustler turf equipment, and Polaris vehicles. This exclusive fleet rebate program is only being offered by Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas. Offers are not being published to the general public. They are available to co-op members in Kansas or Oklahoma. For full details, contact Countryside Motors in Wellington at 620-326-7433 or online at countrysidemotors.net.
Jewelry Savers is rapidly approaching 50 years serving the Wichita and South Central Kansas area. Jewelry Savers takes pride in supplying the different generations of all their sparkle needs, whether it's the best in custom jewelry designs, a collection of some of Kansas' most sought-after bridal jewelry, or quality repairs that you know are done right, in many cases with next-day turnaround. It's all the sparkle you'll ever need. Jewelry Savers at K96 and Greenwich Road.
Now, back to the KQAM News Desk.
President Trump says he'll postpone his State of the Union address until the partial government shutdown ends. Trump blames House Speaker Nancy Pelosi for the cancellation.
What she's doing to the American people, what she's doing to our Constitution is a disgrace.
Speaker Pelosi had asked Trump to delay the speech until the shutdown is resolved. Votes scheduled in the Senate today are not expected to end the partial government shutdown, entering its 5th week. A Venezuelan political battle over leadership is brewing.
President Trump announcing Wednesday he's recognizing Juan Guaido as the president of Venezuela. This comes nearly 2 weeks after President Nicolas Maduro, who was inaugurated for a second 6-year term in an election deemed illegitimate by the U.S. and more than a dozen other countries. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
In legal damages related to her case in Italy, a European Human Rights Court awards Amanda Fox the equivalent of $20,000 US. I'm John Trout.
Your local weather on KQAM, brought to you by Jewelry Savers. Conveniently located off K96 on Greenwich Road. The Kansas trusted jewelry source since 1971. Jewelry Savers.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM. For this morning, cloudy but clearing, mostly sunny and 31, wind gusts near 30 miles an hour, mostly clear and 17 tonight. Tomorrow, still gusty, mostly sunny and 43, partly cloudy and 25 for tomorrow night. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 8:06, it's currently 32 degrees.
Larry Elder, weekend mornings here on the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM KQAM. It's time for Reason.
We need to have options. Now, healthcare is not a right. Let me repeat that. Healthcare is not a right. But as a civilized society, as a first world country, we need to have options for healthcare so that way we can actually extend our lives, a better way of life, because that's how we progress as a society and as a human species, is that we progress that way. But healthcare is not a right.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
That's what I'm talking talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason, hour number 3 of the Voice of Reason. What a hopping show today. We love it. We love the phone calls, the conversations. Lots more to get to in hour number 3. Broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. We are rocking it on TV as well, KGPT TV channel 2610. We also have the YouTube feed going on today. We have a couple more subscribers on YouTube, which we appreciate very much. Thank you for that. Go to youtube.com. Find KQAM Radio. Just search it in there. Subscribe to the page. Watch us live each and every day. Watch all the podcasts. Leave a comment. Doesn't really matter. Welcome in. 316-721-8255. 316-721-TALK if you're going to join into the program. We started off hour number 1 with the story that ran out of the Wichita Eagle here, from the Associated Press nationally, but talked about the idea that there was some moderate Democrats emerging from the party wanting to, at the federal level, talk about negotiations with reopening the government, actually sit down at the table with Trump, unlike what Nancy Pelosi wants to do, and where the parties are going to go. And I made the case that I think the Democrat Party has gone so far to the extreme that they're either going to phase out and die out and there's going to be a new party, or they're going to emerge as, again, a little bit more moderate, a little more commonsensical party, and we can have a discussion again. Because right now there's very little dialogue social media contributes to this and the ideas. And again, we don't like to classify people. I classify based on ideology. Are you a progressive that believes in progressive liberal values? Are you a conservative that believes in conservative values? And it's very difficult to find common ground there in today's times, which is unfortunate. And our next guest, I'm really excited to have her on the show because we can talk about, number one, the party system, how to get the parties back on track, how we can actually have a common sense dialogue again, and how we can move forward as a nation. Now, we've had some very divisive times in our history as a nation. Obviously, we started off with an Articles of Confederation. We had to figure out how to make a sustainable government. We had a lot of division during, I would have killed to have been just a fly on the wall sitting there as they discussed the crafting of our Constitution and the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists and the agreement and the compromise to have the Bill of Rights in there and how some didn't think we needed it, some didn't want it. I would have loved to have sat in there. And you want to talk about divisive times, we were on the brink of collapsing, of going back to England and saying, sorry guys, okay, what are we going to do here to compensate for this? We were that close, but we figured it out. And our next guest, I'm really excited to have her on. She is a professor of political science. She is the author of Responsible Parties, Saving Democracy from Itself. It's Professor Frances Rosenbluth on the line with us here. Frances, how are you today?
I'm very well. How are you, Andy?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you coming on the show. This is a fun topic that I love to discuss, but between the original ideas where we shouldn't have had a two-party system, but we ended up having a two-party system where the voter engagement is extremely low in the country compared to other nations. We have a lot of issues, and there's a lot of reasons for those issues. So I guess to kind of throw it off on a big tangent is, what are the issues right now, and what are the steps we can take to start fixing and mending some of this?
Well, Andy, as you say, the Federalists and Anti-Federalists were fighting about a lot of things, but one thing they had not figured out was how political parties could be part of the solution. Now, today we're looking around and we are very frustrated by polarization, gridlock, refusal to negotiate. This is a big frustration for the American people because we feel like we elect these people to get work done for us. But instead they seem to be locking down in their positions. Mm-hmm. And so, if anything, it looks like, whoa, political parties are part of the problem here, and why would we want stronger political parties? But in this book, Ian Shapiro and I make the case that the problem is not strong parties. The problem is that our parties are too weak. They're too fragmented. They're too internally divided. And this has a lot to do with the fact that we have a lot of safe congressional seats in which primaries determine who's going to take those seats in Congress.
Sure.
Primaries are notoriously low turnout events. Think about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez,
yes,
who was elected on a turnout of about 13%. Think about Jim Jordan, who was elected on a turnout of about 14%. So we get people representing us or claiming to represent us who actually represent a very small slice of the American people.
Sure.
Even a small slice of their constituents.
That is very true. And I've said before, and you can correct me, but I love the primary process, and I've tried to advocate my listeners that the most important election that we can have is a primary right now, because you mentioned there's so much division in the parties, especially. I mean, the Republicans right now have that tear between the Freedom Caucus, the conservative Tea Partiers that they were. Now they're the Freedom Caucus,
exactly.
To the establishment Republicans, and which one's going to duke it out and be the representation and the platform then of the Republicans moving forward. The Democrats are doing the same thing now. The socialist Bernie Sanders, AOC, and the establishment old school Democrats, and their primary really sets that tone. And the primary is the number one, in my opinion, the primary is the number one most important election that we could have. But you're right, there's such a low turnout for it. It really makes me sad.
Well, and so, the fact that the seats have been gerrymandered in such a way that one party at a time is really going to control the seat, and whoever from the party gets that primary nod is going to be the representative, there's something wrong with that.
Sure.
And our system works best when we have two parties with clear, programmatic appeals to voters to say, this is what we stand for. If you elect us, this is what we will be able to do. But if we have internally divided parties where one faction is saying one thing, another faction is saying another thing, it's very hard for democratic accountability to work. It's very hard to know what these people are going to do once they get into Congress and start arguing with one another and taking radically different positions and not compromising, not being strategically moderate.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a lot of talk about money in politics, but think about why people are wanting this money. It's because they are running against each other. They have to get their group mobilized.
Sure.
And if you had strong parties, money would really not be necessary. Think about a country like Britain or Germany where the parties really stand for something. There is not that kind of money in politics. There doesn't need to be, because it's very clear to voters what the party stands for.
Sure. And there are so many directions I want to go with this because it's fun. Here in Kansas, we have, right now we have what's called our Truth Caucus, kind of our Tea Party movement within the Republican Party. And I love, personally, I like different ideas in the party just because conservatives ourselves, we like the fact that we're a little more independent thinking and we like to kind of stand on our own thing. But when we do that, you're right, we have a party platform in the state of Kansas. Our state Republican Party has our platform, but there are so many within the Republican Party that don't vote based on the platform. They run as a Republican. Mm-hmm. They say they support it. Then they vote a different way. They upset a lot of different votes in our state legislature, and they go against the party platform. We got to have a way to at least say, if you're going to run into the party, let's have some individual ideas, but let's at least adhere to the actual party platform. Right now, the Truth Caucus, the conservative standpoint, they have the exact same platform, but they kind of hold it more to the conservatives, and we have that division within our own Republican Party here in the state.
That's right. And so that makes it really hard for voters to know what's going on. No wonder there's low turnout. There's a lot of frustration that these people are not really being accountable to ideas. They are being accountable to particular narrower groups of people, single-issue voters. They use money to mobilize particular groups, and the rest of us are kind of left out, wondering why these people aren't really thinking about the country. They're thinking about their narrow issues or their narrow groups. And so we need party discipline. We need more authority, not less authority, to the front bench, the people who are selecting candidates and who are helping to coordinate votes and platform, so that when we vote for a party candidate, we know what that means in terms of the policy that they will be enacting and held accountable to.
That's exactly what we need. We need to have that defined. Okay, that's why people openly register as a Republican or a Democrat. It's going to say, I have these ideas, I have these visions, these morals, these ethics, this platform. That's what I want to see implemented, and it's frustrating when we don't actually get that. Where do third parties fall into this? Will they have an actual national platform? Will they be a contender, or do we just live in too strong of a two-party system? Third parties are irrelevant.
Well, third parties sound like a really great idea because it's a way for new ideas to come in and shake things up. There's one really big reason why we're not going to have a third party in the United States in any significant way, and that is because we have a single person elected per district. And so the only way to have an influence really on policy is to be a majority party.
Sure.
So voters are going to choose somebody who's got a chance of being in a majority party.
That is true.
And so that's why we're not going to get third parties. And I would say don't worry. It's not a big loss because although it sounds great, third parties make it much harder for the two big parties to focus on the middle, to focus on what most voters care about over the long run because they're worried about this little group that's disrupting.
Well, and we see them disrupt a lot of times. I mean, I get so frustrated when there's a libertarian candidate that gets thrown into the race. They get 3-4% of the vote, and in a close race where that 3-4% is a swing one way or another, you have someone who is least like your ideology, even though you could probably find common ground on 60% of your platform. You lose out because you divided yourself, and now we see the worst case actually get elected one way or another.
That's right. So from our collective citizens' point of view, these disruptors are not helping us.
Mm-hmm. Does it help to be a non-registered in one party or another? Here in Kansas, the number one party obviously is the Republican Party. We're a very red state to some degree with the most amount of registered voters. But number two are unregistered voters for one party or another. They're independents. Now, the majority of them do vote conservative, do vote Republican, but they don't want to be part of the big party, the establishment, the whatever, so they vote as a quote-unquote independent, but predominantly vote Republican. Does that help or does that hurt the party in the long run?
I think it's actually good to have people who say, wait a minute, we're going to wait and see what you guys do, and we're going to choose based on results. We need the parties to be accountable. We need them to really struggle to find the middle ground, to find where most Americans are and not just cater to their base.
Mm-hmm.
So the bigger this middle group, the moderates in the middle, in a sense, the more healthy democratic competition.
I love it. We're talking with Frances Rosenbluth, author of Responsible Parties, Saving Democracy from Itself, along with Ian Shapiro that wrote that as well. Let's look at some of the parties nationally right now. We have the government shutdown. We're in the over a month now, the longest shutdown in U.S. history. We have some moderate Democrats now coming out and saying, you know what, let's talk, let's sit down at the table with Trump, let's figure out a way to negotiate this, as opposed to some of the hardliners like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that just says Trump's a racist, we don't want to even deal with him, Nancy Pelosi that says, yeah, you know what, it's not even a talking point. The Democrats, as they have shifted farther to the left with AOC and with Bernie Sanders kind of representing them in a large movement, is that going to be the new party, do you think, or do you think they're going to swing back to the more moderate middle position?
Well, I think it's not that politicians are evil. It's that we've set up a system that creates this kind of fragmentation. And I'm coming back to primaries in safe seats.
Sure.
We need to redistrict so that our congressional districts force our politicians to aim at the political middle, because that is more representative of the country as a whole. And so in Kansas, there are a lot of people in the middle. It's fine for people with strong ideas to argue, and, you know, I love the title of your show, The Voice of Reason. We really should be reason-giving, but in the end, we want politicians to put their ideas out there, make them convincing, try them out. We will decide whether we like them or not. If we don't like them, we'll throw them out. But for goodness sakes, we need to have coherence within the parties rather than this really broad range of disagreement in both parties that makes it much harder for us voters to figure out exactly what they would do if they were in office. It's just too confusing, too frustrating.
It really is. It really is. We're running short on time. We got just about a minute or so left. I love the conversation. We definitely have to get you back on because this is one of my favorite things to talk about. But last question before we let you go. Here in Kansas, we've talked about at the state level for the party doing some sort of litmus test, at least putting them on paper saying this is what I believe in. Yes, I adhere to the Republican platform. Yes, this is what I stand for. And then using that, not against them, but using that to at least put it out in public so when they vote in different ways, and they do go against the platform, that we can try and at least hold them accountable or show that they didn't exactly vote with the platform on really important issues. Is that one way that we can begin cleaning it up and having some transparency within the parties?
Sure. I think the more authority we can give to the party leaders so they can help discipline parties to vote in a block, the easier it is for voters to know what this party is actually all about. Mm-hmm. So, yes, that I think would be a good thing in addition to redistricting, as I said, and disqualifying, this is more radical, but disqualifying primary votes that have very, very low turnout and say, you know, let's maybe think of something else if the low turnout primaries are not working.
Sure. Absolutely. I love it. Frances Rosenbluth, The Responsible Party, Saving Democracy from Itself. Where can people find the book?
This is a Yale University Press book, and it is available on Amazon as well as in most bookstores.
I love it. Frances, I really appreciate the time. It's an excellent conversation to have. I think it's one way that we can begin to start cleaning some things up. I'd really love to get you back on the show again soon.
Thank you, Andy.
Always a pleasure. Absolutely. 23 minutes past the hour. Let's take a break. We'll come back, open up lines to you for the last little bit of the show. Great conversation. Can we get back on track here? And the parties are the way to do it. Or are we just too divided? We're not going to be able to come back from that. We'll take your phone calls and thoughts on that when we come back. This is The Voice Reason on a pre-Friday celebration. Stay right here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, KQAM.
I'm not sure we're ready for the newest puppy-sized robotic dog, Aibo, from Sony. This tech dog has cameras on its nose and tail, artificial intelligence, and an internet connection so it can walk around and report back what everyone in the house is doing. Kim Commando with your Thursday Consumer Tech Update. Get the free Commando podcast for the latest tech news and extended interviews on Apple, Google, or wherever you do get your podcasts. Sony is pitching Aibo as a way that you can check on family members by having a small robotic dog walk around the house and report what's going on whenever you want to or on a schedule. It knows the faces and names of up to 10 people and sends images to the owner when spotted. Like a real dog, Aibo responds to smiles and petting and praise. The price? You can get your very own robotic Aibo dog for about $3,000. But hey, that includes cloud storage for your photos and videos, too. I'm beginning to think George Orwell was an optimist. I'm Kim Commando. So here's a timely stat for you. Almost half of us make a New Year's resolution every single year. We've all made them, and most of us have probably broken them. Happens to the best of us. But one resolution worth sticking to this year, keeping your home and your family safe. That's why I recommend Simply Safe Home Security. Simply Safe is 24/7 home security with no contracts or catches. They believe you should feel protected every time you shut your door and leave for work or shut your eyes at night. More than 3 million people already feel this way every day, thanks to Simply Safe. And they're not the only ones. The folks at PC Mag named Simply Safe both Editor's Choice and Reader's Choice for 2018. 2019 feels like a good year to ask yourself, is my home as safe as it could be? And if you're thinking, well, this is the year to change that. Just go to simplysafekim.com to get started with Simply Safe today. That's simplysafekim.com to protect your home and your family. That's simplysafekim.com.
Broadcasting from the Rusty Eck Ford Studios.
No payments till 2020, only at Rusty Eck Ford.
Family owned, customer friendly. This is the Big Talker, KQAM.
Send your taste buds on an exciting flavor vacation at Hurricane Sports Grill. Indulge in Hurricane's made-to-order jumbo chicken wings with 35 fabulous sauces from our sauce bar, half-pound burgers, and savory tacos. With 20 beers on tap, including local crafts or your choice of Hurricane specialty cocktails, come and enjoy your favorite sport on any of our 30 TVs or call ahead for carry-out game day platters. Don't forget Hurricane's daily specials, including Monday's all-you-can-eat chicken wings. Hurricane Sports Grill, a fun-filled, family-friendly environment at 13th and Tyler.
Wichita's Big Talker is KQAM. Catch Andy Hoosier morning 6 to 9. Mike Gallagher 9 to noon. The Dana Show live noon till 2. Dave Ramsey 2 to 5. And Joe Pags 5 to 8. Wichita's Big Talker is KQAM. If it takes two to read the news, you're in the wrong place. Stimulating talk all day right here on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Killing it today. Thanks again to Frances Rosenbluth joining the program. Interesting conversation, the two-party system, embracing the two-party system, strengthening the two parties, and then being able to have a better dialogue. Do you agree with that? That's usually not the stance many people take. They like to break it up and have multiple third parties all across the board, and kind of an interesting one right there. We'll talk about that when we come back after the bottom of the hour break. It is open lines to you at 316-721-8255. Really appreciate that. And we did our first one yesterday. It's time to do our second one today.
Call now at 721-8255. Right here on KQAM.
There it is. Let's do caller number two. Caller number two at 316-721-8255. It's time for the big game coming up Sunday, February 3rd, if you know what I mean. And you, plus 9 of your friends and family, you get to take them to a big game party at B&C Barbecue. It's time to get registered. We do one registration now between now and the 31st next week. The winner will be drawn next Friday, February 1st. Here's what you get if you get this. We have 7 registrants that we'll do here. We have 7 registrants we'll do on KGSO. Over there on the sports station, we'll draw one. So you have a 1 in 14 chance if you get your name drawn. And if you win, you get to pick you and 9 of your friends, 10 total, to go on B&C Barbecue. All the food and drinks, no alcohol, but all the food and drinks you can handle, plus watching the big game on 20 brand new TVs after their remodel over at B&C Barbecue. B&C Barbecue, WichitaBarbecue.com. You can check them out online, or you can just swing by there, 355 North Washington. I absolutely love their barbecue. It is so good, and they've remodeled. They have brand new 20 new TVs. They do have alcohol there. That's just not going to be included in your tab for this, at least. But you get to take 9 friends, 10 of you total, and go and watch the big game on 20 new TVs and watch it with the big game party with B&C Barbecue and KQAM and KGSO Radio. We'll take caller number 2 right now at 316-721-8255. Get you registered for the party, and we'll do it again tomorrow. So caller number 2 at 316-721-8255. We'll do that right now. Bottom of the hour break. When we come back, we'll open up lines so you get your thoughts on what she had to say, talk about the party system. Will we see some moderacy come out of the parties? Primarily the Democrat Party, or are they going to go to extreme, and will they crumble? Are they properly representing the vast majority of Americans? That's the big question. That's what we'll do when we come back. Even here in the state of Kansas, are we seeing proper representation? This is The Voice of Reason. Bottom of the hour news coming up. It's a Thursday, pre-Friday celebration as we continue on with our conservative slant on stuff, which is, the correct slant on things. That's okay.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center.
President Trump says until the partial government shutdown has ended, he won't deliver a State of the Union address. South Carolina Democratic Congressman James Clyburn says it's the right move.
Let's get that behind us, and then all of us will be in a good mood to listen to the president's understanding of the State of the Union, and hopefully he'll be in a good enough mood to deliver it to our understanding.
21-year-old Zephan Zaver, the man accused of killing 5 people in a bank rampage in Sebring, Florida, has been charged with 5 counts of first-degree premeditated murder. Zaver was read the charges by Highlands County Judge Anthony Rittenauer.
All right, Mr. Zaver, as I stated, you have 5 counts of felony capital murder. Based on it being a capital offense, the court is going to hold you without bond. Good luck, sir.
Victims' names have not been made public. I'm John Trout.
Some job recruitment sites overload your inbox with resumes. Glassdoor knows not just any will do. From 62 million job seekers, Glassdoor only matches you with qualified candidates who have the skills and experience your small business needs to grow. In fact, Glassdoor hires are 30% more likely to stay with your company longer, and Glassdoor can help you find that perfect candidate in half the resumes. Go to glassdoor.com/hire. Glassdoor. Find the right fit for your business.
And now, the worst commercial ever.
I'm Jake. And I'm Jack. We're the Plow Guys. How do we keep your driveways clean? With commercial auto and business insurance through Progressive. They help with a customized insurance plan that keeps our business on the road. And that's news worth shouting out loud simultaneously.
Enthusiastic yelling at the same time.
Yeah!
Terrible. Whereas commercial auto and business insurance through Progressive is anything but. Visit progressivecommercial.com to quote today. Insurance provided and serviced by Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. It's affiliated and third-party insurers.
Kansas Mid-America Network News. Good Thursday. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is deflecting speculation that he might run for Senate in Kansas, saying he has a very full plate in his current job. Pompeo was asked last night in a Fox News television interview about whether he might run next year for the seat held by retiring Republican Senator Pat Roberts. Pompeo stopped short of ruling it out, but said his singular focus is his work as the nation's top diplomat under President Donald Trump. A suspect in the ambush, kidnapping, and rape of a Johnson County Sheriff's deputy wants to withdraw his guilty plea. The Kansas City Star reports 23-year-old Brady Newman Cadell of Independence, Missouri, was scheduled to be sentenced yesterday after pleading guilty in May to the attack. Instead, he asked to withdraw his plea and go to trial. Following that request, Newman Cadell's attorney withdrew from the case. Mid-America Network News.
This is John Sidoric with Heartland Avionics at Augusta Municipal Airport. With a $500 rebate available from the federal government for your ADSB installation, the mad rush is on. And at Heartland Avionics, we have two of the most popular brands pre-wired and ready to go, minimizing your aircraft's downtime. Heartland Avionics is also a certified dealer for many other ADSB installation options. Call Heartland Avionics or learn more at iflyaugusta.com.
Mark Collier at Collier Allstate knows mayhem can happen at any time in Kansas. Whether you live in the city, one of Kansas's great small towns, or out in the Great Plains, Mark and Allstate will protect you from the effects of mayhem. Home, health, life, or business, Mark and his great staff will help you find the best protection. Mayhem is guaranteed to come. Let the Mark Collier Agency help you through it. Mark Collier, the Collier Agency, 204 North Main in Goddard. Give them a call at 316-413-4014 and on Facebook at Collier Allstate.
It's Mary from Wildwood Cellars. Our pure elderberry concentrate is especially popular this time of the year, and people ask us what makes ours so much better than the rest, and I have to say it's how we make it, so that none of the good properties of the elderberries are ever lost. Nothing is ever dehydrated, and we add nothing to it. No sugars, syrups, alcohols, additives, or preservatives, just pure concentrated elderberry with less than 1 gram of carb or sugar, so you can take it straight or add it to any juice or drink of your choice. Online at wildwoodsellers.com.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM. For this morning, cloudy but clearing, mostly sunny and 31, wind gusts near 30 miles an hour, mostly clear and 17 tonight. Tomorrow, still gusty, mostly sunny and 43, partly cloudy and 25 for tomorrow night. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 8:35, it's currently 31 degrees.
Call the Voice of Reason now on the ABC Recycling phone lines at 721-8255. This is the Big Talker, KQAM. Making Kansas great again.
A new tide of optimism was already sweeping across our land. Each day since, we have gone forward with a clear vision and a righteous mission to make America great again for all Americans.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
She's a friend of mine. Take it easy.
36 minutes past the hour. Welcome into The Voice of Reason, wrapping up the program today on a pre-Friday celebration. It is open lines to you for the last half hour at 316-721-8255 on our ABC Recycling hotlines. We'd love to hear from you. This half hour of the broadcast brought to you by Wildwood Cellars. Award-winning wines from a local vineyard. Learn about the different wines. You can taste it before you buy it, by the way. They have their free tastings, and they're delicious. And enjoy the experience. Elderberry Concentrate, also a variety of locally produced wines. Maple and Ridge right here in Wichita. Riding that shopping strip also off the Turnpike in Mulvane. Online at wildwoodsellars.com. Again, wildwoodsellars.com. Go check it out. Some of the best wine you will have ever ever. I'm just saying. I love it. 316-721-8255. Thanks again to Frances coming on. And by the way, congratulations to Jim getting on the list for the big game party brought to you by BNC Barbecue and KQAM and KGSO Radio. And he brought up a good point as well on the air. We had a caller off the air that mentioned a great point was, if you remember way back when, Newt Gingrich, which I always go back and forth with Newt Gingrich. I don't know. But with what we talked about with the platform of the Republican Party is the Contract for America that he wrote saying this is what we stand for, this is what we do. And this is what the message is really with what we're doing at the local level. The Sedgwick County Republican Party, why I wanted to be involved with that, why I'm trying to help out, is that we need to explain our platform better. We need to, because I guarantee you, number one, we win on ideas when it's not about name calling, when it's not about division, but when it's actual ideas, conservatism and the Republican platform wins. That's why I joined the Republican Party. That's why I am a conservative. That's what I believe in. That's what I support. Because our ideas win. But what we need to do is we need to explain them better so the light bulb comes on. And people understand it. Because right now, there's so many negative feelings towards being a Republican, being a conservative, that people get turned off by just hearing the name. They don't want to hear anymore. They tune out, they put on their horse blinders, and they just continue on the road that they're going on. And if we could explain our platform better, and we lay it out, and we hold to it, that's the second part of it. Not only do we have to explain it better, but we have to hold to it. We cannot have, this is why it's so silly when we see all these Republicans in our state legislature flipping parties and saying, oh, the party's too extreme, we can't be part of this anymore, I'm going to become a Democrat. Well, first off, you've been voting with the Democrats the entire time, so what's new? There hasn't been a single Republican that's voted as a Republican that switched parties. It's like, yeah, you know what, the party's crazy now. We're not going to be part of this. It's not crazy. We're holding to the platforms of the Republican Party. When you have a bill come up and you say, do I want to raise taxes to spend more money in the government, or do I want to lower taxes to spur the economy in the private sector? As a conservative, it should be a very simple vote, a very easy vote. I'm going to vote to keep the money in the pockets of the people. That's what we believe in. That economic growth is spurred by the private sector. That you have the right as a human being to have life, liberty, and private property. And because of that, you have the pursuit of happiness from the Declaration. But really, it's life, liberty, and private property. What you make is yours. When you work, you get a paycheck. You get to keep that paycheck because you've earned it. You've worked for it. That is your product of what you've come away with. When you start a business, you have the right to make decisions for your business. The EPA does not have a decision on what to tell you to do with your business. They do not have that right. When you purchase a piece of land, it is your land now. When you purchase a home, it is your home now. And the government should not and cannot continuously take property taxes away from you and say, well, it's really yours, but we really get to take it and tax you on it each and every year, over and over and over and over for the rest of your life as long as you have that property. That's not right. When you die, the wealth that you've created that's already been through the tax filter numerous times because you've had it, and every year that you save it, you continuously get taxed on it. When you have that and you die and you transfer it to your kids, it should not go through another tax filter saying, yeah, we're just going to take half of it because you didn't earn it, so you shouldn't be able to get all that money. That's stupid. That is dumb. When you look at an issue in society and you see, oh, look, this is causing an issue. This is failing. This is not working. The education system, the whatever. This is not working. When you look at it through the Republican filter, do you say, okay, the people in the private sector will fix this because that's the way the market works? Or do you say, you know, the government probably should step in and take care of this? There's one simple solution for a Republican value. It's not a crazy right-wing conservative value. It's a Republican platform. Jerry Moran coming out and saying Medicaid expansion would save rural hospitals is not a Republican value. I'm sorry. Saying that we should open up opportunity for 20 more competitive insurance companies to come in and be able to privatize it to raise the quality and lower the price, that is a Republican value. That's what we stand for. And Frances Rosenbluth that just came on the show is absolutely right. We need to define it and we need to practice it. We don't need to have a Truth Caucus or a Tea Party movement or a Freedom Caucus inside the Republican Party to practice what the Republicans say that we're practicing already. If so, then what's the purpose of the rest of the Republican Party? The Democrats the same way. I don't know what their platform is, what their mission is, what their views are, or what their actual written statement is of what they value, because it's all fluff, and they're like, we want to take care of people. Okay, how do you do that? Well, we're going to do it through the government. We don't know what their platform is, but they need to have a defined platform, and then they need to practice it. And this is what's tearing the nation apart, both Republicans and Democrats. That's what's tearing us apart, is the fact that we have many sects within the larger parties. The party is supposed to be a big umbrella. One thing I disagreed with her on is that I absolutely love divisive, harsh primaries. I love them because that shows that there are multiple ideas and visions within the party, that it's not just the talking points. Everybody is on the same page. Everybody's doing the exact same thing. It's just the cookie cutter slot. You just get the new person in there, and then whatever, we just get that person, and then we go about the general election. No, I like the fact, and that's the way the Democrats, by the way, have gone historically for a really, really long time. In Kansas, it's difficult for Democrats to even get someone on the ticket. Rarely do they even have a primary. I love the fact that the Democrats had a primary in the governor's race this year. They had numerous people in it. That was the first time they've had a primary race for the governor in like 3 decades. It was insane. That was the first primary they've had in a long time. I loved it. That's the way it's supposed to be. Republicans, we have different visions. We have different ideas. You know what? Let's have, there's a difference, remember, between saying we want lower taxes, which we should all agree on as a Republican, but then saying, all right, you know what? Let's have this low tax rate and then have an incentive here, or a lower tax rate over here and then do this. So we have different ideas, but the same broad spectrum moving in the general direction. That's what we need to have. And that's why we need to have a harsh primary. I love the difficult primaries. I love 20 people on the stage going at it once in a while. I love it. I absolutely love it. But when we define the platform and we follow the platform, which is why I think we need the litmus test here in Kansas for our state elected officials. When we have a defined platform, we need to follow it. And I think that every one of those individuals that voted for one of those state elected officials, state representatives who flip political parties, should have the right to recall them and vote in a new election. Because I think that they got gypped by voting in somebody, by saying they're a Republican, they're going to follow the Republican platform because they ran under the Republican Party, and then turn around and go and vote something else and then flip political parties. I think they got gypped, and they should have the right to get somebody else in that seat. I think they should. That's a falsehood. That's a lie to their voters and their constituents. If you're going to run under a party, hold to the party platform. Let us define it, and then people can choose whether they like the platform of the party, whether they want to continue with the platform of the party, or whether they want to do something different. And that's important for the statewide level and for the federal level. Coming up next week or next month is the State Republican Convention in Topeka, and I will be there. And I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say, because that's when we vote on what the platform is going to look like for the party in Kansas. And when we vote on it, then every Republican elected official or potential candidate down the road, or anybody that's a Republican, says, you know what, that's why I voted for the Republican Party, and I'm a registered Republican, or I'm a registered unaffiliated voter, but I vote Republican predominantly, is because that's the platform I like, those are the values that I uphold to, and that's what I want to support in government. And we need to do it. And if we don't, that's why the Republican Party hurts. And when you hear about people not wanting to vote in the process, or not be part of the engaged process, or not be part of the political process, is because they've seen the party say they want to do something different, and then they feel gypped. And they feel cheated. You want to know why we have low voter turnout both in primaries and in general elections? Is because people don't trust the politician, because it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter what party they are anymore. They vote their own way. They do their own thing, and we don't feel like we have a say. If the parties upheld their own platforms, she's right. I guarantee we'd have a higher voter turnout. Open lines to you at 316-721-8255. Let's go to the ABC Recycling Hotlines. Line number 1. Good morning. What's your name? Hello. All right. Let's go to call number 2 here, shall we? Give us a call back. I want to hear from you. Line number 2. Good morning. What's your name? Hello.
Hello, this is Ray.
Hey, good morning, Ray. What's going on, sir?
Well, I noticed in the local Providence newspaper yesterday that apparently the Republican Party is concerned that Kobach may run for the Senate. Seems to me that we need to leave our man from Kansas that's in the White House, that's in Washington right now, Pompeo.
Mm-hmm.
We need to leave him there, and we need to put Kobach in the Senate. And the reason the Republican Party is worried about Kobach getting in is because they're all a bunch of dadgum moderates, and they don't want somebody as tough as Kobach in there. They want another weenie so that they can possibly flip them and go Democrat like what you were talking about.
Sure.
And as far as explaining ourselves, when Kobach ran, he did not explain himself, and he did not back up the positive things that were happening under Brownback.
Right.
He showed us all these pictures of him standing out in a wheat field.
You're right.
I don't need that. I don't want any more wheat field and family. I want facts.
Sure. I mean, it was really the campaign style of like John McCain trying to distance himself and show the difference from George W. Bush prior to him. You're right. Kris Kobach didn't talk about the reasons why conservatism won, and Brownback did a lot of good things. Here's where he messed up and where I want to fix them. But he didn't go to the base and re-energize the base of it. He just assumed the base was there, and that's where I think he lost. So I'm glad you brought him up, because you're right. The media right now trying to throw some more dirt on him with this whole, look, he paid for his classes based on tax money, and he shouldn't have done that, which I think is foolish because it was a work thing, so the work should pay for it, which is the government, which I have no problem with. But they're fearful. They're absolutely terrified that he may run for that Senate seat, which is why they're pushing Pompeo. Now, I think Pompeo may jump in last minute. He's kind of tried to distance himself because I think that he's looking for a potential 2024 presidential run, and it's easier to do it from a Senate position than someone tied to a current administration that may go sour or may go positive one way or another.
It is, but at the same time, we need him backing up Trump.
Sure. Well, that's very true.
We could have him do it from there. We also got to remember that Huelskamp lost because he wasn't backing up. He wasn't defending himself. He was giving us pictures of wheat fields and family.
Well, and he tried to go on personal attacks of Roger Marshall as opposed to talking about his voting record and his platform. And again, he missed the entire boat on what the priority was at the time.
Yeah, I want information. I don't want that other crap.
Sure. Amen to that. I'm right there with you, Ray. I appreciate that very much. You're spot on. And if we start focusing on the real issues, then we would actually win again with conservatives, with real Republicans that vote on real Republican issues. You're right. And as the field starts to crowd up for the 2020 Senate race, I don't know if Kris Kobach's going to jump in. I'm torn. I'd like him to see him run. At the same time, I almost wonder if Trump's not holding out to put him into a position in the administration. Either way, we're not going to hear the last of Kris Kobach, and the media's going to have a heyday and a frenzy as soon as they hear that he's going somewhere, either running for the seat or going into the Trump administration. But one way or another, something's going to happen with him. He's too valuable, and he's going to do good things. We just don't know where it's going to be. But we need a conservative in that Senate seat, whether it is Kris Kobach, whether it is Mike Pompeo, whether it is, Jake LaTurner or Susan Wagle, someone that's in there. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch this race pan out, and I hope we have a field of 20 individuals running, and I hope that we are able to hash out some ideas and see who's going to stand on a Republican platform and not be shy of doing so. I really hope we see that, because Democrats are going to scramble to get somebody in the race at all, and they're not going to win it. I can't see the Democrats winning that seat at all. But if we define our platform, we don't focus on the silly issues, we don't go on personal attacks, we don't try and play wishy-washy and try to look to the broader base of both sides and winning over the other side of the aisle, if we focus on the platform of what republicanism is, remember, we're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic, which means the elected official does not come back to the people and say, all right, democracy, let's do a poll, and whichever one comes out victorious at the end of the poll is the way I'm going to vote on an issue. No, we have a representative republic, where we have a candidate that says, this is my platform, this is my value, and if you support that, then vote for me. If you don't, then vote for the person that has the different platform that you do agree with. But I'm not wishy-washy. Yeah, I'll get your opinion. I want your thoughts on stuff, but this is where I stand, and this is the values that I hold. That's why I want you to represent me, because I want to represent you in that manner. That's what we have to get back to. And we have a hard time doing so when we have candidates who are like, I don't know where they stand, because they're too busy trying to do personal attacks or calling someone a racist or saying that they have tax fraud or whatever. I don't care. What's your ideas and what are you going to do? And how are you going to represent me properly? Let's go back to the phones here. Line at number 2. Good morning. What's your name?
Hi, Andy. This is Helen again.
Helen, real quick. One call a day. One call a day.
I know,
That's all right. You got 20 seconds.
So many important issues.
I do. You got 20 seconds. Go for it.
Okay. Well, let's do a fact check checking research on exactly how much of our tax dollars have gone to help Democrats and others, like they're saying that Kobach, oh my gosh, good grief.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's right. I mean, let's follow the money. Let's follow the money on where. Look, if they're going to throw a fit about a couple $1,000s for Kobach going to a class that he was told to do for his job, then let's look at some of the money they're spending on special interests, on pet projects, on things that don't have anything to do with the benefit of society or for our state. Let's look at where the money goes in the state of Kansas. That's a great point. Helen, appreciate it. Got to take a break. 8 minutes at the top of the hour, but I do want to remind you beforehand, as you know, coming up on... very soon, February 5th, it's the Sunflower Showdown, K-State and KU basketball game. It's always a fun one to watch as they duke it out here at the interstate rivalry. February 5th is the game, and we have a couple pair of tickets at Toppers Plus with KQAM and KGSO Radio. Here's what you do. Swing by Toppers Plus anytime between now and next week. And by the way, Toppers Plus just east of I-25 on Central. Drop your name in the box. They have a registration box before Thursday the 31st and get the chance to win one of two pair of tickets being given away for the Sunflower Showdown at Toppers Plus. Winners will be drawn the end of business on the 31st from the business. We'll announce the winners next Friday morning, the same time we do the announcement for the big game winner as well. But it's the Sunflower Showdown. It's with KQM and KGSO and Toppers Plus. Go there, sign up, get your name in the box, and get a pair of tickets as we give away two pair, one from us and one from KGSO right here on The Voice of Reason.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Starting the day lower in the grains and higher in the livestock, we're going to take a look at the ag futures markets. Brady Charles at Schwederman Incorporated is along with all the information. Good morning, Brady.
Good morning. Well, a little bit weaker start in the grain markets in the overnights and early session, and a little bit stronger in the livestock. February live cattle are up 2 cents at 125.57. April's up 2 at 126.52, and June's up 2 at 116.87. January feeders are up 47 at 143.50, March up 30 at 143.95, and April up 20 at 144.87. February lean hogs are down 35 at 60.42. In the grain markets, March Kansas City wheat's down a quarter at 5.14 3/4. May's down a penny at 5.23 1/4. July's down 3/4 at 5.32 1/4. March Chicago's steady at 5.26, and July is down a half at 5.37. March spring wheat is up 2 3/4 at 5.78 1/4. In the corn market, March is down a penny at 3.77 1/2. May down 1 1/4 at 3.86, and July down 1 1/4 at 3.94. March beans down 3 1/2 at 9.11 1/4. May down 3 3/4 at 9.25. Nove down 2 3/4 at 9.53 1/2. March bean oils down 14 at 29.24, and the meal's down 50 at 312.40. And the Dow Jones is currently trading down 44 at 24,513. This has been Brady Charles from Schwederman Incorporated. For questions on these markets, any other markets, and all your marketing needs, please give us a call at 800-272-9131 or visit us online at upthelimit.com.
Mike here at Rusty Eck Ford with some exciting news. Our year-end offer is now extended till January 31st. That means you can still come pick out a new Ford and make no payments till 2020. That's right, drive it for all of 2019 and make no payments until 2020. Check out our nice selection at rustyeckford.com or come in person and take a look. When you decide, we'll set it up with no payments till 2020. Hey, it's a new year and you can have a happy new car. New cars, trucks, or SUVs with no payments till 2020 through January 31st. This offer is only available at Rusty Eck Ford in Wichita Town East and Kellogg. We're Rusty Eck Ford proud. Dealer retains rebates, Ford credit, interest accrues from date of sale. All negative equity paid in full. Max payment assistance up to $500. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Come visit us at Rusty Eck Ford or go to rustyeckford.com.
Attention, co-op members. In conjunction with Countryside Motors in Wellington, all co-op members and their families qualify for additional rebates on Chevrolet, Buick, Hustler turf equipment, and Polaris vehicles. This exclusive fleet rebate program is only being offered by Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas. Offers are not being published to the general public. They are available to co-op members in Kansas or Oklahoma. For full details, contact Countryside Motors in Wellington at 620-326-7433 or online at countrysidemotors.net.
Sanford & Son debuted on TV in 1972 with Fred and his son Lamont running a junkyard where they consistently prove
one man's junk is another man's treasure.
You can too with a little creative thinking and ingenuity.
Like when you have new rain gutters installed.
Don't throw away all those scrap pieces and parts.
Instead, turn your rain gutter leftovers
into clever workshop time and space savers.
Here's how. First, mount a short length of gutter,
complete with end caps and corners if needed,
wherever you'd like an extra wall shelf
to hold various bottles and spray cans,
and on the sides of your workbench
to serve as a handy tool and parts holder
or dust bin where you can sweep sawdust and scraps.
If you also have part of a leftover downspout,
mount it sideways on the shop wall.
They make great storage tubes for small lengths of trim, dowels, and tubing.
Rain gutter scraps? Use them now or save them for a rainy day.
For more tips, visit our website at onthehouse.com.
Did you know your concrete porch and steps, patio, pool deck, garage floor, even your ugly laminate countertops can be resurfaced with real stone as easily as painting? I'm Peter Deitch, president of Deitch Coatings, and I'm here to say you can. Tastefully accent surfaces all around your home with just a roller and a brush to achieve beautiful, high-performance stone finishes that last. Why wait? Deitch Coatings are available to you factory direct and online at homedepot.com. Plan your next project at DeitchCoatings.com. That's DAICH Coatings.com.
Hey, make sure to check us out tonight at the Kansas Republican Assembly. I'll be speaking out there tonight at the Golden Corral. 6:30 is the time for that one. We'd love to see you out there. And on the west part of the Wichita here is the Golden Corral on that one. Come check it out, 6:30 tonight. Me and other conservative radio host in town, John Whitmer from the other station. We'll be out there together as the two talk show hosts talking about some of the statewide issues going on. Looking forward to that. We'd love to see you out there tonight. Everybody have a great day. We have Friday tomorrow, Free for All Friday. We got a lot of stuff to get to as we didn't get to some of it today. Love the conversation. Let's continue to advance our agenda, our ideas, and explain what we stand for. And guess what? We'll continue to win. This is The Voice Reason. Everybody have a great Thursday.
Apex Cattle's Heterosis headquarters annual sale is Monday, January 28th. It's the largest age-advantaged Sim-Angus and Angus bull sale in Nebraska. Powerful 2-year-old and stout fall bulls that will cover more cows. Plus, exciting new generation yearling sell. All have exceptional EPD profiles, data, and quality featuring the best in calving ease, performance, maternal, and carcass genetics. Sim-Angus bulls are sired by the popular EPD trait leaders from highly productive Angus and Sim-Angus dams. Apex bulls are bred and developed to ensure longevity, good feed, and soundness. 2-year-old and fall yearling bulls receive only high roughage ration and no grain. Cattleman Heterosis is your only free lunch in the cattle business today. If you run Angus cows, our Sim-Angus bulls will greatly impact your program with more pounds to sell and better females to retain. Also selling are broody Sim-Angus bred heifers, most AI safe to proven calving ease and low birth weight sires. Videos and catalog are available at apexcattle.com. Sale will be broadcast on Superior starting at 1 p.m. Monday, January 28th from the Apex Cattle Sale Headquarters, Dannebrog, Nebraska. Heterosis, don't be in business without it.
This is a Steckline communication station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita Proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by Phil's Coins, Kansas's largest coin dealer at 9344 West Central. Phil's Coins, buying, selling, and trading.